And we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova. I've got the honor and privilege to have the one and only Brandon Tatum. Man, thank you for being on the podcast. Go ahead and introduce people to who you are, and then go ahead and plug your channel, man, and your website and everything, man. It's such an honor to have you on here.
All right, my man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you having me on. It is an honor for me to be on your show, on your podcast, to be able to express thoughts that I think you and I congruently have together. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon Tatum. I made several viral videos about, ranging from my experience at a Donald Trump rally all the way to, my disgust and different point of view from NFL players kneeling during the national anthem. I have a YouTube channel. Brandon Tatum you just type in Brandon Tatum. To be quite honest, if you go to my website, you can find all of my social media. It's at Motivational Speaker B Tatum. Motivational Speaker B Tatum. That's where you can find all of my social media. But I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all of the platforms. I am a conservative. I used to be a Democrat, a leftist. And, I saw the light. I took the red pill. And my mission here moving forward is to just invite people to have an open mind. I'm not trying to tell you how to think. I'm not trying to force you to vote a certain way. All I want you to do is have a answer to whatever you believe, and then have an open mind to understanding that there's still room to grow and learn.
Definitely, man. There's always room to grow and learn. And again, man, such an honor to have you on the show, man. It's like when you're a fan and you get to, meet like somebody that has been like so impactful and influential on you, man. It's amazing. Thank you so much, man.
Awesome.
All right, man. So I wanted to ask like a brief background on you. So I know you used to be a police officer. What are some of the things that you saw as a police officer, and also in your conversion to being from Democrat to conservative, or liberal from to conservative? Like, what are some of the things you've seen?
Yeah, so I guess I could start just a little bit further back from the police department. I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas. I graduated from a school in the inner city in the hood, Paul Ernst Dunbar High School. And obviously I was raised Democrat. Democrats are for the black people, Republicans are racist. That's how I was raised. And there were three phases to a transformation that I had into becoming more conscious about conservative values and how they align with what I already believe. So, like the first one was my transition from graduating high school and going to college, going from living in an all-black community to living in, on college campus where, it's probably 80% white people. That was the first, transitional point that opened my mind and perspective, and I started thinking very differently. The second one is when I got saved. I'm a Christian. I got saved. I got baptized, filled with the Holy Spirit. And that really changed my life to open my understanding even more. And then when I became a police officer, is when, the nail hit the head, or whatever we say, the hammer hit the nail, where, my understanding was completely open, where I took the red pill, digested it, and it changed my life. So moving forward, and I could probably go on and on about the two phases, but I'm going to start with the police phase since you brought it up. Mm-hmm. When I became a police officer, I began to really see the truth about crime and the truth about police response to crime. Growing up, they pull you over, it's because they're racist. They want to hold a black man down. But when I became a police officer, I realized, man, everybody crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's not just that police have to worry about black people or they're afraid of black people. Man, I arrested more white people and then I arrested black people in my career as a police officer. And you realize that all of these guys that I work with, and majority of them are white and Hispanic, all of these guys I work with are good, loving people. They're family men, family women. They come from similar backgrounds that I came from, and they weren't even black. And they have the same values moving forward, and they're not the same color as me, And so I started to realize that, man, these people aren't as racist as people are painting them to be. And a lot of those police officers that I work with had my back more than probably anybody else that I've ever known. So those are kind of the things that got my mind jogging and got my mind going. And then when Barack Obama started bashing police officers and pretty much lying about, Michael Brown and sending people from the White House to his funeral. Although the DOJ investigation revealed, subsequently that he was responsible for that. That the officer was justified in his actions. And watching him peddle the narrative of officers being racist and there's this big police brutality against Black people, that really turned me off completely. And I started seeing the truth about Barack Obama, and that projected me into opening my mind to look at other candidates and say, okay, these people are not representing what I really feel. They're not representing reality to me. And I decided to look across the aisle to see if there was someone on that side that agreed with the principles that I live by. And obviously I found that was true.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, man, like that's one of the things that I've noticed too, like as I've started to, go back and I've had my conversion from being, a liberal Democrat to conservative Republican. I'm also a Christian too. So, that's played a very tremendous part in my conversion. And what I've noticed is that as I've gone back and I've listened to things like Barack Obama would say, especially with, the Michael Brown thing, it's really, I've started to notice like this guy, he really was not for the people.
Yeah.
He really wasn't, not at all. And it's interesting because like the whole Ferguson shooting thing, one of my older brothers was actually one of the PR people there, and he really was like he's gotten really big into the whole Black Lives Matter thing and pushing the narrative that they're for the people, and how the white white cop on Black people crime is just astronomical, and he pushes that narrative too. And I've told him many times, I'm like, brother, I don't think so. Because the funny thing is, we have a brother, one of our older brother is actually a cop himself in Arkansas. And even he's like I would go to him. I'm like, and my brother's name is Nick. I'm like, hey, Nick, is the stuff that Sean, our other brother, is the stuff he's saying true about, the white on Black crime? And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, what about the stuff that Obama's been saying? No, that's not true either. So
it's not true, bro. It's not true, brother. And I think and anybody. The thing is that facts don't lie, stats don't lie, and if you have a balanced perspective, which I learned being a police officer, that you can't believe one side. You have to look at both sides and evaluate what truth is. I don't care if somebody's crying over here and they got injuries that would indicate certain things. You got to hear that side and hear this side and then make a determination. If you don't do that, you will get screwed as a police officer. You will end up arresting the wrong person. I have had plenty of times where I almost arrested the wrong person because I'm getting in my emotions looking at this woman crying and saying, he beat me. And then when you look at the totality of circumstances, she actually beat him. He was defending himself. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to look at both sides. And the way I look at police shootings is I say, okay, give me the stats on police shootings, and then give me the stats on the other side of the argument. Because a lot of people say, police officers are killing people, unarmed Black men. I think last year it was 17 unarmed Black men that were killed by police. And just because you're unarmed don't mean you can't get shot and killed. Don't mean you're not a deadly threat. But for the sake of argument, just say all 17 were illegal shootings. And you say, okay, there's only 17. And then you look at stats in these other cities and you have people die, 600 people in Chicago, 700 people dying in 1 year. And you have people dying all over the country. And you say, well, it's okay to evaluate it if we feel like that this is police misconduct, but the biggest threat to our society is the fact that we're killing each other. And then when you look at the disproportionality of crime, I'm not making this stuff up. Like, I used to say we were made up 13% of the population and we committed over close to half of the murders and over half of the armed robberies and violent crimes in this country. That's 13% of the population. I have to really correct myself because women don't commit crimes the way Black males do. So really it's 6%, like a 6% of the population is committing almost half of the murders in this country. When you have that level of disproportionality and crimes being committed, violent crimes being committed, you're going to have more police interactions. And the fact that Black people have so many police interactions, yet they die at a smaller rate than whites and Hispanics is very telling. And here's another stat that people really don't look at. The murders, 12% of white people that are killed in this country are killed by police, 12%. 7% of blacks who are killed in this country are killed by police. So whites are killed at 12%, blacks are killed at 7%. So that right there tells you, based on police interaction, based on the deaths and the percentage per capita, white people are actually dying at the hands of police a lot more than black people are. And so when you put those stats together, you start to realize that why are they pushing this narrative that's not completely accurate? And why are they leaving out these huge fact patterns that would suggest why police are interacting with black people the way they are?
Yeah, man, that's a question, and it's almost like they just don't want to answer it because it doesn't fit into the liberal narrative that there's just rampant racism going on, and that if you're black, you have a target on your back, and it just doesn't fit the narrative. And it's unfortunate, and it's funny because the same stats that you just told me right now, like I talked to my brother a week ago, same thing he was throwing at me, and I'm like, I asked my brother, I'm like, Nick, like what is going on? Why is it? And my brother's the same as you, like he's police officer, he's conservative, Republican, and he's like, he said it's a Democratic thing. He says it's a left-wing liberal thing. I was like, damn.
Yeah, if it was out there, hey man, I'm all for combating police brutality, but we have to. I mean, the thing is that we have to stop conflating the two. Like sometimes you get your butt kicked because you resist an arrest and you're fighting a police officer. You get beat down. That's the name of the game. But there are some people that I've seen who's sitting on the curb and the cop come kick him in the head and do all this crazy stuff. Instances of police brutality. Let's talk about them. Let's identify them and let's work on them as a nation, as a people. Not just black people, not Hispanic, but everybody. When we see instances of police brutality, we need to address that. Not just address it as, oh, fire them, but address it as that person needs to be disciplined, and how as a nation can we work to have police better trained and more accountable. I'm 100% for that. But you can't say Michael Brown is police brutality. You can't start picking up like this the guy Stephen Clark. Philando Castile was a little iffy, but what's his name? Another guy, they just came out, Alton Sterling. You cannot conflate these individuals who are apparently resisting arrest and not obeying lawful commands and are literally justifiably shot with people like the guy in North Carolina who he did fight the police officer. He ran from him. He wasn't paying his child support, but he got shot in his back. And it's like, I don't care what you do. You can't shoot a man in his back while he's running away and then try to plant the taser on him. So I think that we need to, as a country, we need to identify truth and say, in that situation, that dude needs to go to prison. And he did get charged with first-degree murder. In some of these cases where we see it, we should all come together. In the cases where they're not prevalent, even though you don't like the way they look, even if it don't fit your narrative, you have to say, that is not an instance of police brutality. So let's stop wasting our time making up lies and trying to build a case against something that's not legitimate. Because if you do that, you're not going to get both sides on your team, because now you're just offending police officers and white people. And then now people aren't going to want to work with you. So I think we should come to a common denominator of what is truth and what is not. And let's all work together as a nation to try to better these conditions for everybody.
Exactly, man. And it truly is, it's a process, and people have to be willing to want to come to that mutual understanding to progress forward. And it's a lot, going on that's preventing that. And a lot of it is just stubbornness, and a lot of it is also ignorance as well. And it's unfortunate, but we got people like you, Ken Soen, and others that are just just putting out content and trying to work to help America as a whole, not just individual communities, but Americans as a whole, to just come together and say, hey, we need to stop this BS and just get on the right track. And I'm so grateful for the stuff that you do, man. But I want to ask you, what has been your experience being not only a content creator on YouTube, but also a motivational speaker? What have been some ups and downs that you've experienced in YouTube and, in your motivational speaking journey?
So I guess I'll start with the negative. I guess, and the negative really don't bother me because I'm a grown man. You know what I'm saying? I could care less what people want to say about me, especially if it's not true and if it's pointless. So calling me coons and all this stuff comes with the territory. The negatives that I said was that, people have turned their back on me.
Mhm.
People that I went to school with. I'm finding out who my real friends are and who are not my friends. And the wedge is being divided between me and people that were previously in my life, which is it's not a bad thing, but still sometimes it hurts when you have people that completely come against you and say hurtful things about you behind your back, and they used to be your boys. So some of those are negative byproducts of being a content creator and telling the truth. I mean, and to be honest, that's the extent of the negative. The positive is that, man, I've seen so many people like yourself and others who are young, um, seeking conservatives, or people who are just seeking the truth that become conservative because they have an open mind. I've seen so many people message me, so many people write in the comment section saying how the content that I've created have been inspiring to them. Now they are making pages. Now they are free and bold to speak the truth. I've essentially been a component amongst a lot of other content creators who have given them permission to say it's okay to think for yourself. It's cool to be telling the truth. You don't have to worry about what other people, because a person like me who, I'm very successful. I don't worry about what people feel. So I guess another negative that I've seen being a content creator is the censorship of my content. Like I got banned from YouTube. Like for whatever reason, YouTube won't let me live stream anymore. And
Really?
I think it said up to 90 days. And they really can't tell me what exactly I did. They said I violated harassment and bullying or something. It's like I've been making I've been made all 100 and some videos, and I say the same thing in all my videos as far as I don't curse, and I use discretion on what I say, and I've been that way in all 100 plus videos that I've made. And all of a sudden, I was speaking on the subject of a young man, and you know who he is. I don't want to say his name, who have been very vocal against the Second Amendment. And I guess I mentioned that young man's name, and they decided to block they deleted the video. I'm gonna tell you this: it was 1,000 people watching that video live at one time. There was like 400 or 500 more people than I've ever had on my news feed, on my YouTube channel ever. And that many people was watching live, and in the height of that live video, they deleted it. I mean, all my followers literally saw the thing disappear on their feed, and they docked it from bullying or whatever. Still haven't told me exactly what I said that was bullying, so I can fix it. So, man, I can't even live stream right now. I can upload videos, but I can't live stream, which was a huge source of income for me, but on YouTube. So that's kind of the good and the bad, man. I think, but at the end of the day, it's all worth it, man. It's 100% worth
it. Man, that's something that I'm finding. It's this whole censorship on YouTube, and I know it's going on Facebook and it's going on Twitter. Like, what is it? Just like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think is like the main reason behind the censorship? Is it just I mean, I understand it's politically motivated, and I know talking about said individual, and I'm not going to name that individual's name either, but it seems like that individual gets the opportunity to um, bully others constantly. But if you say anything about him, you catch the wrath of whatever platform you're on, and it's an unfair it's unfair how they're doing that, and I don't understand how that kid gets away with it constantly.
it. It's a downright attack on the First Amendment, and people may not believe so. And I know that YouTube and Facebook are private entities, but at the same time, they've monopolized the voice of people all over the world, and now they're gearing it and structuring it as a weapon. If that kid can come on TV and use curse word and slurs against people like Alex Jones, Laura Ingraham, NRA members. Like if that person can come on a live stream and just bash people on national TV and on other platforms, there is no way in the world people shouldn't be able to come and critique what he has to say. What they're doing is they're skewing the narrative. And I don't understand. I don't really know if like the owner of these platforms, the CEO of these platforms are expressing the independent thought that they have, and they're suppressing speech based on their own fundamental ideas, or they're being bought and paid for to do this. Because none of this was an issue, in my opinion. I never heard of this being that much of an issue before Donald Trump became president. And so after he won, because of so many people were, telling the truth, man. They were expressing, I mean, all these YouTubers, even myself, I became more vocal during this election. And I think that people saw the power of common sense and the power of uniting people to vote for the best of their conscience. And they felt like the money and the manipulation and the celebrity status could overcome the American voice. And when they found out that that couldn't work, that did not work because of free speech, because of our First Amendment, they had to find a way to suppress it. Diamond and Silk got kicked off of Facebook. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I remember that.
They got deemed as being unsafe. I'm like, unsafe? Diamond and Silk aren't even really hard nosed. They joke a lot, and they're funny, and they're tag teaming, and most of their stuff is kind of comical, and they mix comedy and truth together. But I've seen people on YouTube, I've seen people on Facebook cussing, acting a fool, threatening people, pulling guns on. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's an amazing double standard that they're imposing on any conservative type of voices, and I don't think we've ever, and I'm going to add to what you were saying. I don't think we've ever seen, the left side establishment ever come down as hard as they have since Trump started running for president and he won. Like it's like they just won't take that L.
They are fighting, brother. They are drowning. They sucking in water, drowning, and they still fighting. I mean, I don't understand. And see, I'm glad that they're doing it. Let me tell you why. Two things. Mm-hmm. I think Donald Trump is the savior of America, and not to be compared to Jesus Christ or anything, and not because of Donald Trump's character, not because of his tweets, not because of who he married and who he didn't marry, who he slept with and who he didn't sleep with. It's because Donald Trump's election, his campaign run, all of that really exposed the truth about our country. Like, I didn't know that it was this many crazy people in our country who hate free speech, people who hate the truth. And I would have never known if Donald Trump wouldn't have become president. And I think that we're having these conversations now, and Black people, Hispanic people are now opening up and saying, you know what? No, I'm seeing it for what it is. And also the left I love the fact that they're continuously exposing themselves. And see, in the Bible, it says pride come before destruction. They're so proud of their numbers, quote unquote, the numbers they think they have. They're so proud of their celebrity status and their funding and their rhetoric and narratives and movies and film. And they believe that that's going to somehow change the hearts of American people, when, in fact, American people have shown them that, no, we care about more than Tommy Daniels, some porn star that Donald Trump slept with, and I don't know if he cheated or whatever, 11 years ago. We don't care about that. And they're doubling down, and it's just really forcing people to just withdraw from their cause. When you see them being so crazy, man, they're complaining about Donald Trump militarizing the border. It's like, they're complaining about illegal immigrants when we have legal people over here. It's like, wait a minute. I went 20 years trying to get in this country. You're just going to let these people in for free? Right, you know what I'm saying? And I made this analogy yesterday, and some people were, I had some trolls on there talking trash. But I said, it's just like going to Disneyland. Like, I'm getting ready. My son is on spring break next week. I'm getting ready to take him to Disneyland. And I'm like, and me and my son sneak into Disneyland, right? We go around the gate, we sneak, we jump over the top. Me and my son are in Disneyland. I know for a fact, and my son's too young to realize what's going on, but I know that I've now put us in a position that if Disneyland catches us, they're going to kick us out of here. And they may even revoke our membership or our ability to come back for a whole year or 2 years. I know this when I took my son in there. Now, if we run around, we doing all the rides, and then all of a sudden somebody catches and say, where's your ticket? And I'm like, well, we don't have a ticket. And who am I going to get mad at? Disneyland or myself? And then why would I tell my son, oh, you should be mad at Disneyland? I'm going to sue them. No, I knew the consequences when I snuck in there. How is it fair to all of those people who paid $200, $300, $400, $500? They spending all this money on food and snacks. They waiting in line for hours to get in here, and I sneak in the back. Not only is that wrong based on policy, that's wrong based on the fairness to everybody else. Mm-hmm. We love to talk about how fair it is to the illegals. Well, what about the people who are legal? That's not fair. You're not looking at how fair it is to everybody in this country. So, that's just one thing that it just keep driving the wedge between people with common sense and people who are living in a fantasy world.
Yeah. And the biggest thing too I've seen, especially like with a lot of my left-wing liberal friends, that comment that Trump made at the State of the Union address when he said Americans are dreamers too. That word right there that statement seemed to trigger so many people. Like a lot of people are like, oh, that's a jab at the DACA people. And I'm like, that's not a jab at the DACA people, because he's pointing out to everyone that, hey, the left really don't care about people here in America. And it's amazing. I'm like, and the fact that you're getting triggered by him speaking truth, I'm like, I think you need to go back to the drawing board and reassess that one, because how is that a jab? We got people here that have lived there their whole life. You got people that have come here on, they've gone the legal route to get the American citizenship. And then you got people just coming here, having kids and just coming here illegally. And it's like, they're dreamers. They have the right to be here. Like, excuse me? Like, what?
Right. Like I said, my analogy with Disneyland. That's like saying when people sneak in, I'm telling you, boy, I'm telling you, when I take my son, I'm going to pay all this money to get up in there. I'm driving there. If I get in there and somebody that snuck through the back, snuck their whole family through the back, and they going to tell me that somehow I should feel sympathy for them. Somehow they don't make enough money. They're poor. So we should just go ahead and let them in here. And not only do we let them in here, they need to get in front of me in line. And me and my son need to wait behind them in line. And let's make them more important because they don't have enough money. So let's let them into the park. It's like, man, you gotta be crazy. I mean, I've been a citizen my whole life, and I don't really know of anybody in my family who weren't born in America. Like if I was a immigrant and I had to go through them loops and holes and all this other stuff to become a citizen or a permanent resident, and my wife or my kids, it took time to get them over here legally, and you gonna let people in here, I will be hot, man. And I think that there's a lot of people that are forgetting voice of the legal immigrants, the legal people from all over the world and legal people from Mexico. It's like the forgotten voice, because they come over here and they may not be as affluent, they're dreamers too. They came over here with a dream. They did it the right way. And now their dreams are continuing the right way. Like, what about them? I don't understand. I know people. My friend was one of them, and I'll keep it short because I don't want to talk too much. But my friend was one of them. He live in Australia. His fiance lives here in America. And he done went through so much, man. He was telling me, we've been friends for like 2 years, and he's been trying to get a visa to come over here and be a permanent resident. And it took him forever, like 2 years he had to wait away from his woman, the woman he loved, just to get over here. And he appreciate America. He appreciate the opportunity. And I'm watching him go through this, and I'm like, he could have snuck over here with like a temporary work visa or something and then overstayed his visa. But he didn't do that. You feel me? So I have respect for that man. And I have respect. And I think that if our country is going to give people help and understand how people who have dreams and aspirations to be in this country, we should be looking at him. We shouldn't be looking at these other fools who speak over here and overstay their visas and don't pay taxes. And now we're supporting them. And let me clear this up before I say, I want people to understand that I'm not saying that people on the Dream Act, dreamers are all bad people. I think that the dreamers are actually probably better illegals than other people who are outside of the realm of the Dream Act, because some of these dreamers and the DACA recipients, I'm going to speak on DACA recipients because I know more about DACA, but let me rephrase that. It's the DACA recipients, because they can't commit crimes in this country. They have to graduate high school. They have to have a lot of other stuff that they do. They can actually pay taxes. So those people on DACA, although they ain't got no business being over here, I understand their position. I understand that they're not as much as a detriment to this country as the other one. But these other people are like over here having kids and naturalizing their kids as citizens, and it's not good. It's not good at all.
No, it's really not. And it's something that, I am very grateful that Trump is addressing a lot of this, even though, he's catching, HE double hockey sticks for it left and right. but he's addressing the thing, and it's kind of like, one of my guests on my podcast yesterday said, and it's his statement just stuck with me. He's like, how do you address the problem without addressing the problem? There's there's no way. And as much flack as people give Trump, about the DACA program, I mean, he made the deal for the Democrats. They didn't want to do anything for the DACA, and further proving they don't care about, the people. And then also with the whole wall, I found it amazing that there are people that don't even realize that we already have fences along our southern and northern border to prevent people from coming in. Like, they don't even know we already have a wall. And I'm like, how long have you lived in this country? What?
And that's the dilemma, my man, because I made a video and I articulated that on one of my videos. Like I don't understand why people are outraged. Like, it's so racist to build a wall. It's like I tell people, it's like having a front door. Your front door is raggedy, stuff falling off of it, man. The wind blow the door open up, man. You can't really protect people from coming in and out your house. You're not building a door. I mean, you're not building something that ain't already there. What you're doing is securing the door you already have in place. We are spending probably millions and millions of dollars to refurbish the wall that's already there that's ineffective. So why are we wasting money on a broken door that keeps swinging, and then we have to pay people to stand in front of a swinging door? The common sense thing to do is like, I don't have to pay you to stand in front of this door. I'm gonna fix the door, and then I can put you in other soft areas where you don't need to be at because it's secured. The border wall, everybody in their mama, even Donald Trump and everybody with a brain, understand that we're not going to be able to put a wall everywhere on the southern border. There's all these geographical elements that prevent us from making the actual wall. So what do? You put a wall where you can put a wall at, and then you utilize the Border Patrol in areas where there's no wall. And you utilize electronics and other technologies, drones and other stuff to monitor the wall without ever having people there. It saves us money, from illegal crossings, saves us money from utilizing our Border Patrol in a non-effective capacity. I mean, I knew people on the Border Patrol. I worked in Southern Arizona near the border, and literally people would just walk over. They just literally walk across the border. It's not hard at all. And then what the Border Patrol do? It's not enough of them. They canvass, several mile radiuses, and they catch some of them. They don't catch some of them. And one last point about that is that, let me tell you why the Democrats don't care. I'm sorry about my camera. I'll tell you why Democrats really don't care about illegal people. Let me say this, man. Democrats target blacks to get the vote. Once they're done with blacks, they don't care. They on to the Mexicans. Once they're on to the Mexicans, they don't care. They're on to the Second Amendment. They're on to gun rights. When they're done with that, they own the women, sex crimes, sexual assault. When they done with that, they back to rape culture. They back to black people. This is what they do to try to maintain power. If you cared about illegal crossings, my friend used to tell me how many skeletons they used to find in the desert when they would go canvass and they would go look for, and they'd find drugs, and all these runners and coyotes would leave these pregnant women and leave kids and stuff by themselves out there in the desert in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the summer. And he would just tell me countless times of him seeing the skeletal remains of people who couldn't make it across. They died out there in the heat. No water, no food. They got lost and they're dead. And if you really care about Mexicans who are seeking refuge in this country, and I'm just speaking of the southern border, then you would try to prevent that from happening and say, let's not prevent the president from building the wall. Let's build a wall, but let's also have comprehensive immigration reform. Like, let's actually make it maybe a little easier. And see, Trump is trying to have merit base. Like, so we can definitely let a lot more people in if we can say, hey, if you can contribute to this country, if you can make America great, come on in here. Hey, it'll take you 2 months. We'll get you in here right away. You have no criminal record. You got a master's degree. You come to this country, come on, make us better. Like, I don't understand why. I mean, I know why, because they don't really care. But those are some of the things that I think about that make me more frustrated about the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Very, very true, man. And it's like, I'm all for the merit-based system for immigration instead of this the lottery thing is one of the worst systems, and it's I don't get it. I don't understand the reason why that was ever put into place, because it's like, yeah, we're not, and it goes back to like what Trump was saying, like, there, we're not getting the best from Mexico and whatnot, and I'm amazed at how people have taken that to mean he's saying that all Mexicans are, a rapist and all this other stuff, and it's like, no, he did not say that. He said we're not getting their best. It's a fact. I mean, look at the whole, what is it, the Kate Steinle thing, you know we got the guy has been deported and came back to the country how many times, and you've got the family that was at the State of the Union address where their daughter was killed by the illegal immigrant, and then you've got the left and the left wing media just saying, oh, immigrants are not, they're not a threat. No, you know what, you're right, not all immigrants are a threat, but the ones that are not vetted and that keep coming in and out of this country with, I mean, how can you get kicked out 4 to 5 times and you're still coming back? That's got to say that something's wrong, and it just blows my mind. And when I talk to people about that, it's like I can't get that through to them. I'm like, we need reform. Like, I understand they're talking about the whole, oh, we need gun reform. Okay, have any of you guys actually tried to buy a gun? It's not as easy as going in a store trying to buy some milk. And even that's another concept that a lot of people just don't get. And it just, dude, it frustrates me to know and try to talk to people about this stuff.
Man, you're talking to a population that's uninformed. Donald Trump, I mean, this is the thing. It's a tactical thing. Like, they know, people at the top know Donald Trump is not racist. They know it's not racist to promote building a wall. Somebody already built the wall in the past. I ain't never heard him talk about that person being racist. The first person to build the wall, to initially build, the gate and the structure that divides us from Mexico, obviously our own territory. So, but strategically, they have to turn the tide on them. They have to say, oh, racism. And you don't like him, and so you get emotional. But the truth is that there's, how about the Mexicans who are here legally? That's the only thing I gotta say. Like, I don't understand. They say he hates Mexicans. No, he don't. So what you're saying is that every Mexican is illegal. No, they're not. Every Mexican isn't illegal. A lot of Mexicans had the mindset and the willfulness to do it the right way. But they have to promote this stuff, man. And a lot of people are ignorant to a lot of things. Like, people, I guarantee you, where most people that hate Second Amendment and they think we should ban assault rifles, they have no idea the difference between fully automatic and semi-automatic. They have no idea what that means. I've seen people go on national TV and say fully semi-automatic. It's impossibly fully and semi-automatic. It's impossible. And for them they say, oh, I heard somebody go on TV say, going into a gun shop to buy a gun is just like buying a bag of chips from a store. Like, well, I don't know what gun store you've been in, which they probably have never been to a gun store. Even my background is smooth. I was former law enforcement, and it took about 30 minutes for me to get my gun. I mean, it took a while. They had to go. I had to fill out all this paperwork. I had to fill out, and then they had to go to the back and run a check on me and all kind of stuff, man. I figured that I should be able to go in there and say, I'm a former police officer. Here's my credentials. Let me buy the gun. No, man, they all kind of paperwork. Man, that paperwork, I think it was like 14 pages of paperwork. It took a while for me to figure that stuff out. So, and just imagine, and people at gun stores, they have the right to refuse service to you too. If you come into the store and you looking like, if you look suspicious to them, they can refuse to sell you any firearm. They can ban you from their store. And I honestly believe that if people knew that, they would understand it better. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, the problem is that even if you want to buy a gun, if you have $1,500 available to buy you a AR, then how many people in the population have $1,500 to spend on an AR? Not that many people. So for them to try to suggest that people are running out buying AR-15s all the time is not very smart. Even handguns are $400 or $500 depending on what handgun you get, and you got to buy ammo, and you got to buy a holster. Like, these guns are not cheap. You know what I'm saying? So people aren't just going out buying guns. I remember I couldn't afford, to be honest, as a police officer, man, my salary and kind of the responsibilities that I had, I couldn't afford to buy a rifle, straight out. I would have to save money and try to do that. I couldn't really afford to buy one, so to have that mindset and confuse people on what semi-automatic weapons are, fully automatic weapons, I mean, dude, I've never shot a fully automatic weapon, but I shot semi-automatic rifle. I was on a SWAT team on the police department. And most of us prefer semi-automatic simply because in the line of duty that we do, we're not spraying people, bro. You got to be accountable for all your shots. You know what I'm saying? You got to be very accurate. So you need to be able to pull the trigger, slow trigger pull, keep your sights in line and be able to account for every bullet that come out your gun. Fully automatic weapons, bro, you pull that trigger, you getting a burst. And if you're not good at that, you spraying. You know what I'm saying? You missing. You wouldn't even know how many rounds you shot. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a burst. So a lot of people don't even have fully automatic guns anyway. I mean, I just don't see, and nobody I know obviously have any. I think they're banned in some areas, but a lot of people really don't waste time with that because sometimes it's not as accurate. But it's fun. It's fun to shoot, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard, but I think they started a gun grab in Deerfield, Illinois, and Vermont, and I was just surprised that they're actually doing that. Like, if you own, I believe it's an AR-15 or any other weapon that's considered their assault weapon or weapon of war. I think that's they shifted it from assault weapon to weapon of war. It's so amazing how the narrative it just keeps changing, especially when they get called out, because eventually I think NRA and a lot of us have been saying there's no such thing as an assault weapon, and then the fully semi-automatic, you can't be fully, and you along with being semi. So now it's weapons of war to fit the narrative. And it's amazing how they're doing this gun grab, and if you don't give the gun up, I think they hit you with $1,000 or some odd fine. And I'm like, dang, man, they're just really infringing on your right to bear arms. And it just makes me look at like what's the full narrative of why they're doing this, because there's an underlying reason for it too. And I'm not.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, it's kind of bizarre because do you think criminals are going to turn their guns in? I mean, I'm not understanding, because like some people don't even have their guns registered. So are you gonna somehow get the registered guns? Because if they're not registered, then you don't even know they have them, and they don't have to turn them in. I guarantee you, man, like, what if they lost their gun? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to determine if the person didn't lose their gun? They'll bury their guns. Now, just imagine if people wanted to be rebellious, which I guarantee you they do that in Arizona, it ain't going to go well. Just say that nobody turn their guns in. How are you going to enforce that amount of money in principle on millions of people? It's not going to happen, man. You're not going to, if they don't pay it. Yeah. How are you going to enforce that on those people? And then you battling a constitutional right. Like, I just don't understand what they're thinking when they do this, because I think it's going to cause more of a black market of guns. And like I said, a criminal who's a prohibited possessor, who has a stolen rifle, they're not going to come down to the substation. They're not going to come down to the government and turn their guns in. It's not going to happen. So where are those guns going to go? And I'm telling you this, if a person don't care about possessing an illegal gun, if a person don't care about being a prohibited possessor, if a person don't care about murder, if they don't care about armed robbery, they don't care about a $1,000 a day fine. If they don't care about smoking weed illegally, if they don't care about driving stolen cars, I mean, they're not going to care about a $1,000 fine and turning in an illegal gun that they already possess. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. And so I don't understand, man. If everybody don't have a gun, then what happens? The bad guys are still going to have a gun. And only people going to have a gun is the government. That tells you something. Like, the left always complain about big government and how the government is doing this and the government is doing that. We don't trust law enforcement. They killing our young people. Okay, then why are you giving them all the guns then?
Thank you.
So you don't really care that the law enforcement have the guns. You do want a one world power. You do want government tyranny. That's exactly what you want, because the Constitution is outside of the government. The government is literally here to help enforce the Constitution. They cannot change the Constitution, and unless the people wanted to. And I find it interesting. I think we need to fight back way harder. Man, Vermont may be a liberal state. Whatever. But Vermont may be liberal, so, and even in Texas, you have certain places in Texas that may be liberal places, or the state of Texas as a whole will have to probably make the decision on banning guns. But Texas ain't liberal. But I'm saying, like, state of Washington, California, like, to be honest, if they want to ban their guns, then so be it. If the citizens vote for that to be possible, then that's what they want. But you come to Texas, you come to Arizona, you better beware. Don't try to force that as a national issue. You feel what I'm saying? Like, the national government or the federal government shouldn't impose that upon the people. That should be determined by the state. And I'm not mad that they're doing it in Vermont. I'm not mad at that. To be quite honest, because the people, they voted for that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the people wanted that. And that's the beauty about the United States of America, because we're independent states. And so states are like the independent countries, to be quite honest. And if they want to legalize marijuana, legalize marijuana. If they want to, legalize gun grabbing, legalize gun grabbing. But when stuff start going south in your state, don't come to the federal government for aid. When people start getting robbed and raped, don't ask the federal government for funding on research, the federal government for funding on law enforcement, the funding for victims of crimes. Like, don't come to the government with that stuff, because there's no way you should have banned your guns. My problem is that if the federal government is pushing to have that happen, and they're trying to impose that upon all states, then I think that's where we're gonna have a problem constitutionally as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. What overall has motivated you to start being active and speaking out on not only social issues but also political issues, and going against the normal narrative that the mainstream media pushes and the left-wing liberals push? And was also whatever that catalyst was that what made you take the red pill to refuse the Democratic mindset?
Yeah, I think they both go together. Me taking the red pill and then deciding to stand up for what I believe kind of go hand in hand. I think the red pill came first. And I think just that experience and exposure that I was lied to all this time, the frustration of that and the freedom that I feel after that, finding out that I've been lied to, is something that I feel is invaluable to spread to everybody, man. I want everybody to be happy. I think happiness comes in truth. Now, it may hurt a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Just like a wound, man. You got to peel back the Band-Aid. You got to, treat it, or whatever the case may be. And it may not feel good, but at the end of the day, it will heal properly. And now, the wound can be secured. If we don't have to take that tough leap, then we'll always be a blind society. And like the Bible say, I'm paraphrasing, that my people perish because of lack of understanding. We that's the only reason why we're dying and we're going through the dilemma that we're going through, because we're ignorant. We don't read. We don't look at things for ourselves. We look at CNN and Fox News as, our main sources of knowledge, when that's not the way it should be. Any intelligent person in this country, historically, even now and historically, are great readers. They read a lot of material. They study things for themselves. So, I mean, the short answer to that is that, when I found out that I've been lied to from, people that I grew up with, the culture that I came from, when I found out how, liberating the truth was, I honest to God truth, man, I feel like I have to. It's my duty. It's the God-given ability to spread the message, to spread the light, to plant a seed. And what people do with that is on them.
Yeah, man, that's the straight God's honest truth right there, man. I commend you for the hard work you've been putting in, and also, when you were, for serving and protecting us as a police officer too, man. I commend you for that. I have utmost respect for people that have done law enforcement. And what I also want to ask you is, as a conservative, what has been your experience since you've started seeing what's going on in America with the manipulation of the media and the constant attacks on not only our flag, and we can go into this too, because I'm really sick of seeing people attack the flag. And, I want to, also congratulate you on being on Fox News recently too. And you got to speak on that. But yeah, man, this whole thing on constant attacks on the flag, on our president, on our country, man, man.
Yeah, I mean, as a conservative man, now that I've seen the light, man, I think I see the darkness a lot clearer. And I think that the attack on, I just don't understand. I went to my son's school and I didn't see that flag in that class and they pledged allegiance to a wall. I just, I was so mad, man. I was so frustrated because I saw the LGBTQ community all over the school, all this equal rights, treat everybody with respect. They even read about bullying in the class. They doing all this stuff, but they forgetting about the reason why you can sit in this classroom, the reason why black and white kids can sit here together. I get so mad, man, when I think about how they disrespect this country and the flag, man. I get so mad because they're disrespecting the very thing that they're claiming they're promoting. Like diversity came by way of that flag. People died and fought historically to put us in a position where we can have diversity in this country, where we can have immigrants in this country legally, where we can have black and white people go to the same school, where we can have laws that allow black people to vote. Like everything is encompassed in that flag. Everything that exists in America, we're all Americans. We're a part of this flag that's sitting behind me. There's no one group. There's no black flag, white flag, green flag, gay flag, straight flag. Everything that we're about is encompassed in this flag historically. We have flown this flag in victory. We've flown this flag in victories of all sorts, whether it's social victory, whether it's civil rights victory, whether it's, the victory to become a sovereign society. We have flown this flag that it really represents everybody. And it makes me so mad to sit in school and they're like, oh, we're diverse, everybody respect, but forget the core value and the core in which was even allowed to you. How are you going to disrespect that and then claim that you're all for that? So being a conservative, it really helped me to see the darkness just as well as seeing the light. And I'm frustrated and I'm also concerned. I'm way more concerned about our condition in our country than I ever have been. And I feel like I have to be way more vigilant because God is my witness, brother. I'm telling you right now, and everybody that's watching this, if we don't stand up and we don't stop tucking our tail between our legs and crawling in the corner every time somebody call you a racist or something like that, we are going to lose our country. I'm telling you, these other countries are already plotting on America being divided, America being ignorant, America being social justice warriors. Because I've never seen a country, a person. I mean, you can break it down in any way. Be defeated, who were very knowledgeable. Capitalism works. Obviously, our country is a capitalistic nation, and that's why we're whooping everybody butt. You know what I'm saying? That's why we got the strongest military. That's why everybody's fleeing these countries and want to come to America. We're the greatest country on earth, and capitalism works. And I really think that if we don't stand up for those principles, we're gonna be in. Our First Amendment and Second Amendment are going to go. We already see that these social media platforms are restricting First Amendment hands down. They only allow certain speech, and certain speech is deemed offensive and all kind of other stuff. And now you go to college campuses. They're trying to boycott, make sure you can't go because you have an alternative viewpoint. Second Amendment, you already see them. People have already said. I think it was a Supreme Court justice who was a retired or ex-Supreme Court justice said that we need to repeal the Second Amendment. Like, you got people coming out in your face and saying we're going to repeal these two fundamental principles of the founding of our country. So I can go on a rant, but that's pretty much some of my experiences and the outrage that I feel after I've taken the red pill.
Yeah, man. And what are your thoughts and feelings on the liberals that keep saying that America was never great and was built on the back of slavery / immigration / they keep changing the narrative to say it was built on this group or that group. And it's like this total disrespect for the country. Like, I was talking to a friend the other day, and when I was telling her like, hey, I'm going to be on this podcast, and I'm going to be having you on, and she was asking about like, oh, what are some of the things that Brandon talks about, and I showed her the video where you were on Fox News, and then she was like, well, America was never great, and I'm like, really? you can, I'm like, so you dislike the country? She's like, well, it's just all this slavery and all this other things that's been wrong with the country. It's just so broken beyond repair. And I'm saying, okay, so if you feel so strongly, why don't you leave? And she was like, well, why should I have to leave? Why can't America be like Sweden or like any of these other countries? I'm like, exactly. So if you were in any of these other countries, your freedom of speech, you wouldn't have that. You can't go to another country and complain about it the way you complain about America. You wouldn't even be afforded the basic human civil rights that we have here in this great nation in other countries. And she's like, well, that's not true. I don't know what to tell you.
But they see that's the feeble mind of some people, because she says America's never great. Well, you say, well, explain what you mean. She really can't. She has to go 200 years ago and say, well, because we had slavery. Well, think about this. Think about this. This is what I tell people all the time, and I really wish that African American people would get this in their mind. Now, while today we say slavery was inhumane, obviously, but it was a legal transaction. This wasn't capturing and raping and pillaging people and taking them and making them work over here. White people were slaves before we ever went to Africa. Native Americans in America were slaves before we ever went to Africa. They weren't adequate. You know what I'm saying? White people couldn't sit out in the sun and work that hard. They get, you can see them now. They be outside for 30 minutes in the sun. They get sunburned. They died and all kind of stuff. Their bodies weren't able to be outside and work in that strenuous, environment. They weren't able to do it. And then you look at the Native American people. They were slaves too. They tried to enslave them, and they had enough savvy and they knew the land very well because they are native to the land, that they were escaping so much that they really couldn't get constant work out of them. So what did they do? They went to Africa, the continent of Africa, where they can legally purchase slaves to come to this country and build this country. Now, barring the fact that slavery was inhumane in most cases, and I don't think that it was right, but look at what has been developed. See, Black people today, I always want to go back and look at African slaves and say, oh, poor Africans. Well, no, what about you though? Them people got beat so you can be free. Them people took that punishment. They worked in them fields, building these streets, building railroad tracks, building this environment that you now live in. How about you appreciate their hard work when they were legally owned? It ain't like it was a scam. They were legally owned. They didn't have no choice. They were slaves. And they were sold to the Europeans by Black people. Mm-hmm. So thank them for their hard work. The slave owners didn't owe them anything. I don't know why people are believing that. Morally, I feel like it was wrong. Legally, it wasn't wrong. And people don't like to talk about it, but the first legal slave ownership was by a Black man. And people don't believe me, go look it up. Just go look it up. The first owner of slaves was a Black man. The first legal. Some of it were probably illegal in certain cases. But when you look at the totality of it, they didn't owe those slaves nothing. But those slaves worked, they slaved, they tilled the land, they created this world, this country. They, by and large, they had a huge part in creating this country to be what it is today. Now, how about you thank them and appreciate the fact that they worked hard and they built us an environment where we can be free and we can live the way we are? Like, why you get mad at the white man? White man helped free slaves. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not understanding the rhetoric. America has clearly been one of the greatest countries on planet Earth. That's why everybody comes here. If America was so bad and delusional, people wouldn't live here. People wouldn't be fleeing Mexico to come here. People wouldn't be fleeing Canada to come here. People wouldn't be fleeing all these other countries to come here. I'm telling you what, like, I guarantee you, but take your Black behind over to some of these European countries if you want to. You think they will openly probably be racist against you and nobody cares. I'm not saying that I ain't never been there. But what I'm saying, you complain about America being white and you being a minority. Go to some of these European countries. There ain't a lot of Black people out there. And there ain't no, you ain't doing a Dougie and being swagged out in New Zealand somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You're going to feel completely out of place and nobody's going to accommodate nothing that you're doing. And people may be even afraid of you because they watching the news and they look at how crazy Black people are in America. See, I'm telling you, even Africans don't like African Americans. I'm telling you, man. And so you go take your butt to Africa and you start going to these countries thinking that that's the motherland, you ain't accepted, man. People don't like you. People don't like African Americans because you know what? We are spoiled. You know what I'm saying? And we complaining, oh, America ain't never been great. And the poorest people in our country have iPhones, Obama phones. They have free transportation. They have free housing. They have free food. I mean, poor people got more food than I got in my refrigerator. You talking about them food stamps, bro? You get $300-$400 to eat, and you ain't done nothing to work for that. You can have kids for free. You know, the poorest people in our country are killing. I mean, poor people wearing J's, $200 shoes. You like, bro? These African people looking at you like, oh, the scum of the earth. We out here, we don't even have tennis shoes on. We got to walk miles and miles to get drinking water. Even in developed African countries, they don't even have internet. You know what I'm saying? They don't have none of these, you know, things that we enjoy as the poorest of the poor. People, our poorest people who don't have a home and sit on the side and panhandle and solicit at the median and bring in $200-$300 a day. God is my witness, these homeless people bringing in money like this. And you like, bro, and you complaining about America? And you hit the nail on the head, but when you tell people that, they get all butthurt. It's like, well, go to another country if we so bad. They know doggone well they ain't going. Well, if I'm gonna tell you why they ain't going. Because they don't just accept everybody in their country. That's why you can't go over there. They like, but do you have a work visa? You know, some countries don't even allow you to become citizens. I think a lot of these countries, a lot of these European countries, you would never become a citizen in these countries, ever. Like, you can visit, you ain't never gonna be no citizen. In America, you can become a permanent resident, and then you can become a citizen. Or you can just be a permanent resident, you live here for the rest of your life. You're not a citizen, but you're a permanent resident. But like these other countries, you ain't being nothing. They all kind of nationalist. And, you know, I don't know, man. That's, you know, peace be upon them for being ignorant like that. But it is what it is.
I mean, and exactly like when you were touching on the whole part about, you know, slave trade being, you know, as a purchase transaction. A lot of people don't even realize that there are still 33 plus million people in the world that are enslaved. And the biggest people that could push the whole slavery were the Islamic people, and still are.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I find it such I'm just gonna say it's mind blowing to me because I can't find a thing of another word. It's mind blowing to me to see Black Lives Matter and, you know, Nation of Islam and the Islamic group all together. I'm like, you can't get more backwards than that. I mean, that's the one group of people in the world that has enslaved everyone from white people to Africans to Asians to other Europeans to themselves, and the people they're drinking the Kool-Aid. The Islam, and it's because Obama said Islam is a religion of peace.
Yeah, totally lied. They still own slaves. Today, they still got black African slaves in some of these Islamic countries, and nobody cares. You know, like I said, you know, if Africa is the motherland, I mean, Africa is the biggest continent in this world, the biggest continent, the largest resources. I mean, the continent of Africa has every single climate that there is. That's the only continent that exhibits every single climate, and it's a great continent. Many beautiful countries. I mean, it's beautiful out there. Go live out there. Oh, you think you'll get food stamps out there? You got to be stupid. You think people going to kill you and they going to tell the police? No, you're going to have to get robbed, raped, and murdered. Nobody going to tell nobody nothing. Police be raping you out there. You know what I'm saying? In some places. And a lot of times they're not even as advanced as we are.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, they're not even as advanced. Like a lot of African developed countries, even like South Africa, Botswana, Cameroon, like some of these countries, I mean, they are piggybacking off European values, you know, and then you go out there, let's keep it 100. You go out there and you light skinned or you dark skinned, because I know there's a colorism out there. Like it treats you better the lighter skin you are. I don't know how they do it out there, but I know that there's a difference. Like if you the darker you are, the more ugly they believe you are, or Maybe in some of those countries, they believe the darker you are, the more authentic. If you're outsider, if you're trying to be European, some people feel like the lighter you are, you're privileged, you're white. Like for instance, in Jamaica. And Jamaica is huge. It's huge. You know, you come out to Jamaica, you white, you light skin, they think that you're rich. You know, you're a wealthy American. You know, and it's crazy. It's crazy to me, man, because black people all around the country are suffering. They're doing the best in America, to be quite honest. And instead of us complaining about America, saying, when was America great? And see, this is another thing about being great. Just because you have faults don't mean you're not great. You know what I'm saying? It didn't say make America perfect again. It said make America great again. And great don't have to do with just black people. Come on. Like, why is it always got to be black people? This country can't be great because black people were slaves. You know, not saying all the innovative technology that's happened from other races that have been here. Native Americans, all these other people that have done so much for this country, even black people. And they forgot other black people like George Washington Carver that have just developed so many great things. The stoplight developed by a black man. Automatic transmission developed by a black man. Like I said, George Washington Carver created so many different inventions from peanut extract. Like, we like forget about those black people. You know, the first black judge was in like the 1800s. We forget about people like Madam C.J. Walker, who's the first millionaire woman ever in history. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, Madam C.J. Walker was a millionaire, and the money that she made then, if you translate now, she was a billionaire. I mean, she would be a billionaire today. So we like, do you not think that was great? Do you not think that when black African Americans could create the Black Wall Street, you think that wasn't a great time for African Americans in this country? You know, the development of jazz, the development of rhythm and blues, the development of rock and roll. African American people created that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you think that wasn't a great time? We're not saying overall history of slavery. We're saying all of the greatness that's encapsulated into this country. Let's make America great again, because Barack Obama had diminished a lot of those things. Vision, hatred. I mean, dude, I think we were less racially divided in the 60s. I'm saying in the early 70s, late 60s than we are today. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm saying racially divided means psychologically divided. I'm not really saying, you know, 1-to-1 ratio, because I ain't never experienced racism a day in my life. I go to Starbucks right now. White people make my drink just as good as they make anybody else's drink. You know what I'm saying? And even you go down there, black people in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we hand to hand, we don't see racism, but the rhetoric. Because I mean, just recently, I mean, look how many protests that we've had. Look how many people coming on national TV and calling white people devils and racists and white supremacy and all this other stuff that's popping up more prevalently now than it was back then. And I don't think that Donald Trump is rearing this ugly racist head. I think that people, you know, the ugly colors are coming out. And, you know, I've seen things get worse. And see, I'm saying, and I want to qualify this because I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm speaking about my perception of the 60s. I wasn't even alive. My daddy was 5, and you know, my daddy was alive. Well, in the 70s, like let's say 1970, he was born in 65. So my dad was a kid when all this was going on. My dad didn't even know what was going on. So, you know, what I'm saying is that my perception based on the rhetoric that I'm seeing now, I feel like that it's pushing us to be either the same or worse of a divide than in the 60s. Now, I'm going off of some of the things that I think is going off of my life. You know what I'm saying? Since I was in high school, college, you know, to being a police officer, I'm seeing racial tension grow for no reason at all. Because people's one-to-one experiences aren't bad. But the rhetoric from the media, the rhetoric from people who are leadership, you know, it's just creating this fundamental issue that's just such a falsehood. And I remember getting challenged by black people as a police officer more and more and more as Barack Obama continued to spew hate against police officers. So, I mean, that's a real tangible experience. So I just want to qualify that, because I know some people probably born in the 60s, like, oh, you crazy, boy. It was way worse in the 60s than it is now. I'm just saying the perception. I'm not saying actuality, because I wasn't there. I'm saying the perception of what was going on then to now seems to be worse.
Yeah. No, I understand that, man. I agree with you fully on that, because it really is. It's starting to seem like it is worth. We got people like Francesca Ramsey on MTV pushing the narrative of how America was never great as well, and then the whole white guilt thing, which is another thing that just kind of blows my mind. This whole white guilt, like you got to feel guilty for being white. You got to pay for something that people hundreds of years ago did. Like, like if this was a bank and you're paying interest on it, then dang, man. It's amazing to me. I'm like, the logic behind that just really it's amazing. Like I'm sounding like Jesse Lee Peterson right now by saying like, man, that's amazing, because it's the logic behind it. It's just where is it? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
It's crazy, my man. Because like, think about it. Like, there are white people in this country that are immigrants. You know what I'm saying? Their families migrated to America. They weren't even here during slavery. And a lot of times, like, I think there was a stat that I saw, man. I got to look it up, man. You probably can look it up too, because this is a good argument to make. Is that there's a huge percentage of Americans who are here today who had no association with. So it's a stat that shows how many people migrated to America from these other countries after slavery. You get what I'm saying? Like, how many people came here after slavery was abolished? How many people came here post-slavery? And like, I think it was a number that's like 60% of white people alive today came here after slavery. So, I mean, I could be having the numbers off, but it was a number that was over 50%.
Yeah.
It's like so many white people came here or migrated here to America after slavery. We got to think, man, in this country during slavery, there weren't as many people in this country. Like, we have, I don't know how many we have, 320 million people or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think way back in the day during slavery, man, there was probably, I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but there wasn't a million, there probably wasn't even a million people here. So when you put all this together, you say, for us to go from that many people to 300 million people, there obviously is an influx in birth and in immigration. So a lot of white people that are alive today have family roots that aren't even rooted in America. They migrated here after slavery was already over. So a lot of these people who are feeling white guilt, not even, their lineage is not even associated with slavery. Like, they're 4 or 5, they were in another country somewhere. They never owned a slave a day in their life. And even if their lineage were during slavery, it's only a small amount of people actually own slaves. Like, I'm not understanding. Like, there was more, like, for instance, you had the North, where the free states, at the height of slavery, there was the same amount of free states as there were slave states. Mm-hmm. Here's another stat that I learned that it blew my mind. This was like this year, that there were more free blacks in slave states than there were in free states. I had no idea that was possible.
Really?
There was more free. You can look it up. I saw the statistic and I was like, it blew my mind. And correct me if I'm wrong when you look it up, because if I got bad info, let me know. But right. I looked it up and it said there were more free blacks in slave states than there were in free states. And there was hundreds of blacks that own hundreds of black slaves. Like, people don't want to tell you this stuff. And I learned that last year. And it just further made me more upset at the lie that people tell. So how do you know that your lineage didn't own slaves? You feel me? Because black people own slaves too. How do white people know that their lineage was slave owners? The bottom line is that you don't even know. So why are you guilty about something you probably didn't have nothing to do with? And why am I guilty about something that I had everything to do with? I'll say this last point and then we can go to the next question. Black people, not all, some of them, get on my nerves when they wanna go back in history and blame white people. Oh, the white man did us like this. The white man did us like that. Well, the black man sold us to the white man. So I don't know what are you really mad at? You feel me? Like, they want to go back only to our victimhood of history. Oh, we were poor slaves brought over here by no. Go back a little further. Why did they sell us to these Europeans? And you think that the black slave owners didn't understand, like, hey, where are you guys coming from? Oh, you coming from the New World. Where is that at? Well, it took us 6 months to get here. Oh, wow. So How you gonna get the black people over there? Well, we gonna put them on these ships. Look, the ship right there on the water. We're gonna escort them to the ship right here. Do you think the Africans didn't see that ship? You think they didn't realize, well, y'all gonna cram everybody at the bottom? We know half of them ain't gonna make it. You think the African was like, no, that's unsanitary. We can't do that. No, they didn't care. They're slaves. They said, well, we're gonna sell you 400 of you. We're gonna sell you 400 slaves. And we know only 100 gonna make it to Europe, to America. We didn't make bang for our buck. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We done sold you 400 laborers, and you only gonna be able to use 100. Man, them black Africans didn't care about that. Man, they didn't care. They sold us to Europeans. They sold us to South America. And people don't realize South America had way more slaves than North America did.
Yep.
Way more slaves. Way more slaves. So y'all don't see them crying about South America, but inevitably, the bottom line is that the African people of the continent didn't care enough about their people or people from other tribes to not sell them all around the world. They sold them around the world, not just in America. And in America, the white people in America were the first to abolish slavery. Before any other European country, before any other country in the nation, they abolished slavery in America first. Oh, they don't want to talk about that. We want white people to feel guilty, and we want Muslims to feel okay. And we do a Muslim ban, and it wasn't even a Muslim ban. They call it a Muslim ban. We banned, I don't know, 7 countries or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how many. We banned 7 countries, and the countries that weren't even on the ban had the highest population of Muslims. The highest populated Muslim countries weren't even on the ban. So they could just fire it over here if they wanted to. You know, it's like, what are y'all talking about? Oh, you okay? And you Islamophobic. But Islamic people, they own black people right now. Yeah. I don't know if you saw these videos, man. They had videos of them. Shouldn't have been on Facebook, but it was. Videos of them had these African slaves whom they were killing and raping, and they had video of them shooting them, and they put them in these shallow graves and they shooting them all up. They have them at gunpoint. They had some pictures on the internet of them forcing them to places at gunpoint. And it's like, oh, but that don't matter because it ain't white people. I guess it don't matter.
And it's amazing. Like when you try to talk to people about that and you bring up the issues, like every time I run into someone who talks about how, the slavery thing and the whites did this, whites did that, I'll bring up, hey, blacks sold them, there's Africans that actually sold us here. And then they don't want to hear that. And then when I bring up the whole thing with the Muslims, and I'm glad you brought that up, they also don't want to hear that. It's like the facts to them don't matter at all. Mm. And I mean, maybe you have a better understanding of what to do, because I feel like I run into this wall of people they want to stick cotton in their ear. They don't care about the truth.
Yeah, the best thing to do, man, is just keep speaking the truth, man. I tell you what, if somebody gave up on telling me the truth, man, I'd probably still be a liberal. But people would tell me the truth all the time. And so I always had, the truth in my memory bank. And I will never forget this. One of my really good friends on the SWAT team, he told me, he wrote me a message one day. He said, Brandon, I'm really shocked that you support the Democratic Party when they fundamentally are against almost everything you believe. Like, your Christian values and everything. He said, I'm just shocked, man. I think if you really take a look at the Democratic Party, you'll realize that you are nothing like the Democratic Party. And I was like, whatever, man. I don't have to like everything about the Democrats, you know what I'm saying? But they actually do care about people. See, I was that guy. And you know what? When the stars aligned, I remembered what he said. And I'm like, people were warning me all this time. Well, see, if nobody actually spoke to me and they were rude to me and they kind of like brushed me aside, maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to see, the truth about, what I believe. So I'll tell anybody, just keep speaking the truth and don't be ashamed and understand that you're on the right side of this argument. You know what I'm saying? Somebody calling you a racist, you ain't no racist. And if somebody call you a racist and they don't even know you, they stupid. You know what I'm saying? If somebody call you a racist because you support Donald Trump, they're dumb. They're stupid. They're an ignorant person, either willfully or not. They're ignorant. You shouldn't even nothing they say hold any weight. If somebody get on TV and say, oh, Trump supporters are just, white men in middle America who voted for so-and-so, and you like, you just dumb. You dumb. I'm not even gonna be sad at what you're saying because you're just dumb.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody have a legitimate argument, say, okay, Trump's policy is going to affect this community because of this XYZ, there'll be a person that you can argue with and you can sit down and have a debate with. But all these other people that's just saying that Trump is a racist, a bigot, homophobic, xenophobic, I mean, any other phobia that they can think about, I mean, those people aren't even worth being concerned about what they think. So I tell every young person, keep speaking the truth, keep giving facts. They can't deny facts, man. Yeah. Facts is like Floyd Mayweather in the ring with McGregor. You know what I'm saying? Facts is when you getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only get hit so many times before you get knocked out. Like, I don't care who you are, and you can block it all you want. But when them facts are coming, you know, they going hook, you know, and you get better and better at delivering your facts. So when they put up the block, you delivering that fact around the block, boom. You know how to hit them when they blocking. You feel me? So
yeah,
the more you speak truth is the more you hit them in the head. And eventually they'll get knocked out and they'll understand, like, okay, you're right. You know what I'm saying? And you know, somebody probably would say, you promoting violence. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh man, the chat right now.
Some liberal somewhere, you know, I ain't gonna even say that. I was gonna make a joke. Some people don't like jokes. Some liberal somewhere, you know, eating grass and on a yoga mat is probably talking about that I'm eating grass on a yoga mat. And you know, the funny thing is, man, because we can joke like that because I do yoga. So I can joke about that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I eat a lot. I eat organic food and I have plant-based protein. Now, I'm not a vegan because I love me a ribeye. But,
oh, man.
But, you know, we can joke like that because it's funny. I mean, people said that about conservatives. It'll be funny to us too. But, you know, long story short, I just think young people gotta, whoever watching this, you know, feel empowered to say what you feel. And if you're on a job where you can't say what you feel, continue to build your wealth of knowledge by listening to people and build your arsenal. So at that one point in time, you get presented with the ability to tell the truth. You already got your arsenal going. And then if people won't listen to you, send them to people's videos that you trust and have them watch them. Because man, listen to you because you family. They want to talk trash to you, but they'll listen to the next man, you know, in a blink of an eye. So that's another thing that we could do to kind of spread the message effectively.
Yeah, you know, I've noticed that I've gotten a lot of pushback because I've been saying something like, some of my most controversial statements I've been saying in some of my recent YouTube videos is that racism doesn't really exist. Like, because if I really am honest, looking back on, you know, growing up in Memphis and even being out here in Hawaii, I don't think I've ever experienced racism. Now, is there a difference between racism and prejudice? Like, I that's why I try to break down to people. They're like, oh, that's racist. That's racist. I'm like, no, racist is where you have signs that say for colored onlys and whites onlys. Racism is when there is clearly some type of power in place to, you know, keep you from doing something based on the color of your skin. In the current state of America, we don't have that. This systemic oppression that people keep saying that we're, you know, if you're black, you're systemically oppressed, and there's systemic racism and a systemic racist country. No, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. If you read Thomas Sowell's books, or if you watch him on a thing, this dude is brilliant, man. He expressed this stuff so well. Because if you really look at it for what it is, there's always going to be disparity between people. I don't care if everybody in America was black. There's going to be pay gaps. There's going to be people that decide to do this type of job versus this type of job. You know, there's going to be people that don't like certain people that come from certain areas. If everybody was black, it has nothing to do with race. And people, the easy way out is to point the finger at these inanimate objects. To say, oh, it's racism is the reason why this happened. No. Look in the mirror. That's what you suck. You did bad in your interview. How you gonna say it's racist because you didn't get hired because you black? No, because you sorry at an interview. Well, I know you came in here and you was unprofessional. Oh, maybe they didn't want a woman. Maybe they wanted a man for the job. So get out your feelings. You know, I would say that the racism exists, but it's irrelevant in America today. You know, there's somebody out here that don't like black people and will never give a black person, you know, I don't know, some corn or something from the cornfield that they run. You know, it exists somewhere, but it has no bearing on nobody in this country. And so does white privilege have no bearing. White privilege is no different than class privilege, no different than wealth privilege, no different than generational privilege. It's no different, brother. Like if you're white, and no different than black privilege. If you're white and you own a business, you may identify more with white people, so you may hire more white people. If you're black and you own a business, you may hire more black people because you identify more with black people. If you're a woman, you may hire more women. If you're a police officer, you may inevitably favor police more. If you're a previous student athlete, you may prefer student athletes on your job more. So the privilege lies within inconsistencies or different chains of thought that exist in this country if all of us were the same color.
Yeah.
So I think Thomas Sowell does a really good job at explaining this. And I'm telling you, man, only privilege that I believe in is Christ's privilege. And people say Christ's privilege. It's because Jesus Christ gives you privilege. Like when you serve God, God can trump anybody's, opportunity to thwart you out of something. If God want me to be the president of the United States, I will be the president of the United States. I don't care if I'm black, green, orange, male, or female. It's just the way it is. So the only privilege that I see is when God is on your side, you have a level of privilege that supersedes every privilege that can exist. But I mean, we fall trapped to believing that there's such thing as racism and white privilege, man. Because LeBron James, Jay-Z, did you see that interview with Jay-Z?
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing, dude. I went to Netflix and watched the whole thing. And it's just ironic how he's saying how white men have so much power in this country. And this man, Jay-Z, is sitting across the man whom he's like 6 or 7 times is more powerful than that white man. Like Jay-Z is a billionaire just about. He can go anywhere in the world and people will be kissing his toenails. You know what I'm saying? And LeBron James the same way. Let a white man, LeBron James and Bill Gates can walk in a building together and people wouldn't even know who Bill Gates is. They won't even know who he is. God is my witness. Young people don't even know what Bill Gates look like. They wouldn't even know who's the guy that developed who created Tesla. I forget his name. Elon Musk. Elon Musk. I don't even know what Elon Musk looked like, to be honest. I would have to Google him because I forgot what he looked like. LeBron James can go somewhere. Elon Musk can go somewhere, and people will literally be passing out, fainting and crying and giving LeBron James whatever he wants. Elon Musk, for the most part, people won't even know who he is. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about privilege, I guarantee you that LeBron James' children go to the best school possible. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you if somebody want to be racist, they ain't gonna be racist against his kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I guarantee somebody want to be prejudiced, they're gonna be prejudiced against other kids compared to his kids. You know what I'm saying? LeBron James' kids are gonna get all the fun stuff. Nobody's gonna be mean to them. They LeBron James kids. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna have the best schooling. They're gonna have money for nutrition. They're gonna have everything they need to survive in his family. His young black kids have more privilege and gonna fare better than any white kid in America, just about, unless you have equal amount of money. Mm-hmm. Let's talk. We can even talk about people getting off. Two black people that tells you about privilege in this country. Everybody know that O.J. Simpson, I think he even confessed. I don't know. Somebody wrote an article about. I didn't watch the interview he did lately, but somebody said he confessed to murdering these people. Obviously, he can't be charged with double jeopardy, so he can say he murdered them all he wants to. They can't charge him again. But not LeBron James. I would say LeBron James. O.J. Simpson murdered these people, right? Mm-hmm. This man got off. How did O.J. Simpson get off? Because he got so much money, he hired a team of attorneys, a whole team of freaking superstar attorneys. He pretty much got off of murder. Let's talk about Meek Mills. Oh man, Meek Mills went to jail because he was popping a wheelie on a motorcycle. They lying. Jay-Z said that on that interview. He totally lied to everybody on it. He was disingenuous. Me and a friend got into an argument. She was like, well, he didn't lie. And I was like, well, he's being disingenuous. The same thing. Omitting facts is lying. And so Meek Mills, and as a police officer, I ain't never heard of this. I've never heard of a person doing this, not one time as a police officer. 6 years I was a cop. And I had never heard of nobody telling me nobody did this. Meek Mill was on probation for gun and drug charges. He was going to get years in prison, but the black judge said that she wanted him to express or to be able to live out his professional career as a rapper. So she diverted him to 7 years of probation in lieu of going to prison. Now, this fool violated his probation 5 times in 6 years. 5 times in 6 years. He failed drug tests 4 out of the 5 violations. And, bro, like, what do you want to say? His judge prolonged or postponed his review hearing in court because he was on tour. So she postponed it for a whole year while he was on tour to prevent him from having to go to court instead so he can be on this tour. So he failing drug tests, violating his probation, doing all of the above, and that man didn't go to jail not one time. And then finally, he violated his probation again by illegally, doing aggressive driving or whatever on the freeway, violating his probation, and he went to jail. And they sentenced him to 2 years. Everybody and their mama know nobody ever do 2 years unless it's federal time. He probably gonna do a year and a half, 9 months for good behavior. He violated his probation five times in 6 years. How is that? But he only went to jail one time in that span of time. Dude, I arrested a guy who was on probation. He had to do 25 years in prison if he ever go back. This dummy, of course, he had to be a black guy. He up there got in a stolen car. He jumps out of a stolen car. We get him on a helicopter. He running with dope in his hand, this much dope. He had meth, he had crack, he had heroin in his ball in his hand. So he running from us. He throw the stuff behind his back like he LeBron James or somebody. Like we don't see him. We catch him. Not only is he gonna do time for all that drugs, he violated his probation. Is gonna give him his probation was about 15 years. The probation was gonna give him 15 years. He went to prison and got 15 years. Plus the drugs. You know what I'm saying? Meek Mills got, I don't know how many chances. You feel me? So it's like, man, if you got money, look at all these NFL players, dude, beating their wives and not doing a day in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on, DUIs, not doing a day in jail. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, bro, like, tell me this. Name a police officer that's going to pull over Barack Obama and give him a ticket. Probably nobody. Now, me, I'll give him a ticket in a minute. But what I'm saying is that Barack Obama's privilege in being the president of the United States yielded him some results that superseded the fact that he was black.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. If white privilege was so prevalent and there was so much racism in this country, not one rapper would ever go platinum. Not one black rapper would ever go platinum. People like, I don't know, the white rappers like Post Malone, I don't even know how to Eminem. There's another white rapper somewhere out there. I don't even know rap music that well, but there's another white rapper out there somewhere.
Is it the Machine Gun Kelly guy?
No, it's another dude, man. His name is like, I don't know, man. I don't even know his name. I thought he was black, to be honest, until I saw him, and I was like, oh, dang, this dude's not black. So, like if white privilege was so prevalent and racism was so prevalent, then them white rappers would be killing black rappers because they're technically pretty good, but who's buying this music? White people, man. But every black person in America can buy your rap music and you ain't gonna go platinum. You know what I'm saying? White people gotta buy your stuff. LeBron James, who gave you that Nike contract? White man. LeBron James, who's the owner of the team that signed you and paid you all $1 million? A white man. Who buy all your jerseys? White people. Like, I don't understand where the racism comes in at. You feel me? Yeah. Like, I think white people show more love to black people and black athletes. Who at these football games, packing out stadiums? White people. You know, it's like, if racism was prevalent, man, black people would still be held down. Yeah. But they're not. They're actually doing better per capita than mostly anybody in the sports world, for sure. You know, but anyway, man, I'll keep rambling.
No, man.
We can go to the next question.
All right, man. Because I got just a couple more questions for you. Because, man, it's like the questions I have and like what we're talking about, man. We're hitting everything full throttle. So, man, and the people that are watching it, they're definitely enjoying it. So I guess my other question would be, when it comes to the black community, it seems that there's a perpetual victimhood mentality that is embraced to the point where it's the norm. And why do you think that the black community holds on to wanting to be the victim so much and throwing out terms such as, you know, we are where we are due to slavery or the system set up for us to fail / systemic oppression, or even it's the white man, people's fault? You know, why is there such a lack of accountability in the black community, in your opinion?
Because we never quite got off the plantation, man. We never quite got off the plantation. And I'm going to say this. We went from the physical plantation to the psychological plantation, in my opinion. Because when we got released, we went back to the plantation. because I think the Democratic Party has a huge role in this stuff. And this is historic, man. You know, I think Booker T. Washington, you have people like W.E.B. Du Bois to a certain degree. You have people like, you know, I would say Martin Luther King was sort of this type of person. You have people who wanted Black people to hold themselves accountable. Mm-hmm. You know, for Black people to feel like then we need to earn our right in this country. We don't need to be given anything. We should earn it. We should earn our value. We shouldn't be asking a white man to give us nothing. We should prove to the white man that we're valuable enough to be hired on their jobs, that we prove ourselves to be valuable in society. I think that, and then my daddy just told me that Jackie Robinson was a conservative. I didn't even know that. I never even heard that about him. He was a conservative. And they called him Uncle Tom and Coon and stuff that they call you and I. And Jackie Robinson went down the same path. So I think that what happened was we were on the plantation physically and psychologically. Once we were freed as slaves, they fearmongered us into not leaving the plantation. And this is historic. They tell you, oh, no, you can't go out there, man. It's a dangerous world out there. You don't know how to read. You know, people are not going to accept you. Hey, stay here on the plantation. We'll take care of you. We'll feed you. We'll make sure you're safe. We're sorry for all the stuff we did in the past. God help me. This is the Democratic Party, man. We'll help you for the stuff that we did in the past. Okay, now that we're free and we become sovereign to a certain degree as Black people, we developed the Republican Party, you know, the NAACP. We have all these different things that we're developing. And then they say, no, wait a minute. Listen, come back to the plantation psychologically. I know we did the KKK and we opposed Martin Luther King and you know, we were against civil rights and desegregation, but forgive us for that, but come back, man. We'll give you food stamps because, you know, the government, they put crack in your neighborhood and they incarcerate your people at such high rates. Like, come back to the plantation and we'll feed you. We'll make sure you don't go to jail. We'll stand up for you. And it's like, no. Now we didn't got tricked, and a lot of us are back on the plantation again. And the promotion on the plantation is that we're a victim. And the people like you and I who don't live on the plantation anymore, we understand that we ain't victims. We understand that you and I ain't going to jail, and you and I ain't a part of the justice system. Why? Because we ain't committing crimes. We're not on here bribing people. So the justice system, you know, inconsistencies, which I can make a whole video about how that's a lie. The justice system's inconsistencies don't apply to us because we're not criminals. And we have a responsibility to not be criminals. We can choose whether or not we want to rape and pillage and beat people and carry illegal guns and all the other stuff. We have the power. Nobody can tell us that that's the way we should act. Because of slavery and because of oppression over the years, we become violent. No, man, you can, as an individual person, you can look in the mirror and say, do I want to go to jail or do I not? You know what I'm saying? Do I want to be a murderer or do I not? Am I ready to change the generational curse or do I not want to? And so I think that we've fallen into that, man. And I think that, you know, emotionalism and these people who are playing us against one another and telling us that the crack epidemic ruined our communities because the government put crack in our communities. And that they're pretty much telling us we're too stupid and too weak to stand up and become greater. And then what they do is they tell us, like they did to other people, the Black people that escape, oh no, man, they're not like you. They don't love you. They don't support you. They left you. They ain't the good people. They working with the white man who want to kill you. We're going to take care of you. And that's the same thing, man. They telling people like you and I that we're sellouts, we're coons, we don't care about the Black community, we want to marry white women. Like, they want to make all of these generalizations against us because we're a threat to actually doing the virtual Harriet Tubman. You know what I'm saying? Like we getting people off the plantation like it's nobody business. Yeah. And they can't have that. So they got to strike us down as being a negative people. So that's pretty much what I think, man. We never left the plantation psychologically. And some of us have, and they're doing the same thing they did then, brainwashing us to stay there and become victims and responsible for the government. Not responsible, but responsible to the government.
So, I mean, basically, in essence, a lot of the oppression, you know, quote unquote, that the Black community is having is actually self-imposed in a way.
In 2018, it's all our fault.
Yeah.
It's all our fault. We can't blame nobody else but us in 2018. My cousin, I got a few family members doing life in prison. The white man didn't have nothing to do with that. They up there committing crimes and doing stuff they knew was wrong a long time ago, and they got to do the time. Had nothing to do with white people. You know, we don't even own nothing in our communities. Like the community I live in is predominantly white. I'm in Anthem, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go to the store. All these mom and pop places are owned by white people. Maybe a couple of Asian people that own the Asian type restaurants, but mostly white people own these restaurants. Most white people own property around here, so they're economic. It's a revolving door of economic security for white people in this community. All of the money is going back into the same community. You go to the black community, we don't own nothing. I mean, we own a little mom and pop, and everybody want a discount. You know what I'm saying? We ain't really owning nothing big in our own community, so we can't circulate wealth like other people. Jewish people, they own everything in the Jewish community. You know what I'm saying? Asian people, they own everything in the Asian community. Black people, we don't own nothing. And then when we get like LeBron James, we move out and we go buy a house and raise the property value in the white neighborhood. We don't do nothing in the black neighborhood. And I'm not saying that LeBron James has to go live in the hood, but what I'm saying is that these are the residual effects of our own doing, our own negligence. You know, do we teach our kids about credit scores? No, I ain't know nothing about credit scores growing up.
Me either, man.
And so it's like, whose fault is that? See, and I'm gonna tell you a perfect example. I have a friend, and bro, my credit score was like 500 when I actually looked at it. I was like, oh, what does a 500 mean? And they're like, oh, that's a bad credit score, dude. My first car, my interest rate was like 14%, and I didn't know what that was. I had no idea. So now, obviously, I worked hard over the years, and I got my credit score over 700. And my friend, her credit score is in the 800s, and before she ever knew anything about credit, really, her parents had set her up and put her in a good position and told her about credit. So therefore, she never had any damages to her credit. Like, I had a charged off credit card when I was in college. I had no idea what a charge off was. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, I'm gonna pay that when I get paid. I'm gonna pay it off. It's like $300 I owed on my credit card. And I didn't realize, I wasn't paying attention to it, bro. They said they're gonna charge it off. I was like, I'll pay it when I get my tax money. They charged that thing out, didn't know that it was a negative on my credit, and it's on there for 7 years. Like, it's just about to fall off either this year or next year. Like, whose fault is that? The white man? No, it's our fault. You know, we focus so much on sports and athletics, and we kind of neglect other career fields. So we all running for the basketball court, and only 2 or 3 of us is ever going to make it to the pro level. And then we don't know what else to do after we can't play basketball anymore. You know, we don't diversify our employment. We don't diversify our reading, our atmosphere. You know, we don't diversify our knowledge, you know, as a community, not as individual black people, but as the community. And, you know, another thing is we don't hold ourselves accountable. Tell me why when a black man gets killed by a police officer and he's a thug terrorizing a community, why are we saying that that's okay because he got killed by a white cop? It's okay now. It's like, no, why are we not protesting for drug dealers in our communities? Why? We're protesting when a cop kill a black man, but we won't even take a foot outside of the house when you know people selling dope on every corner. Mm-hmm. And see, I got family members who own crack and stuff. So it's like, you know, we killing ourselves. The white man ain't selling crack in our community, having people going crazy, losing their minds, stealing stuff, robbing stuff, trying to get that next hit. White people ain't selling that to our people. We selling that to our own people. You know what I'm saying? White people ain't doing drive-bys in the hood. We doing it on our own. And people that we consider to be leaders are perpetuating. You turn on any rap music. Jay-Z can talk all he wants. Turn on some of his music. You know, I love some of Jay-Z's music, but Jay-Z is a perpetuator of violence too. What are they telling young black people to be? Oh, you thug. I smoke this dude. I don't mind doing time in prison. You know, I'm riding for my hood, riding for my section. You know, y'all just brainwash. White people ain't rapping that. Show me a song where white people rapping it. White people don't even say the N-word in their music. Even the rappers don't even say the N-word. Show me where white people are holding us down in this country. Mm-hmm. It don't exist, man. It don't exist. And I think that the white liberal is brainwashing us into believing it's true so we can vote for them. Yeah. But if they told the truth, man, a Democrat would never be a presidential candidate ever again. They will never win. They will never be a Democratic unless they change their narrative. They'll never be a Democratic in president office ever again if they told the truth.
Man, that's so true. So true, man. It's one of the things that, you know, I've said to people that keep bringing up the fact that they say the systemic oppression and, you know, you can never get ahead in America. And I'm like, that's amazing to me, because tell me how you can have immigrants come here and they can do so well. Like you were saying, like with owning the businesses, you can have people from Japan, from China, from Korea, from Taiwan, wherever they can come to America, first generation, second generation, and make it work. You know, if the first generation can't do it, the second generation got it. And explain to me why that all these people can come here and own property and do so well, but when it comes to Black Americans, we don't own nothing, and we've been here longer than most of these people.
And the thing is, we used to own a lot, but like I said, man, we've been dumbed down our own community to the point where now Black people who are successful are moving out of our communities, and they don't want nothing to do with that stuff. That stuff is a hellhole. And another thing is, I'll give you an example. There's a friend of mine who owns a sushi restaurant. She's from China. I think she's from China. Man, they got a newspaper. They got like a Asian newspaper that circulates here in Phoenix. Where they post businesses for other Chinese people to buy, right? Really? So, like, for instance, she was like, well, I looked in the newspaper and I saw this. So Chinese people are saying, hey, go buy this restaurant. Like, here's another restaurant. Here's another restaurant. And they telling them all these places to buy. So she was like, well, I went and checked it out. And obviously she must have had some connections, had some family funding. And she ended up purchasing, that girl is like 32 years old. She ended up purchasing that restaurant. And it's like, why Black people can't do stuff like that? Why do we have a newspaper? No, we got Scandal, we got Kardashians, we got all this drama, bro, that's out here. We so consumed with entertainment that we don't even focus on building anything. Like, why don't Black people have a newspaper that say, hey, here's the business that you need to buy, here's the business you can buy in our community. It's going for sale. You know, here's the prices, here's the funding that you can get. And so we can start buying more stuff, man. I mean, Asian people killing it. Asian people debunk white privilege like it's nobody's business, because Asians in America are doing better than white people, per capita. Asians in America, look at their crime rate. Asian crime is, man, Asian murder rate and all this stuff is just, it don't even exist, my man. And why are they doing that? It's because of culture. Culturally, Asian people work hard. I don't see Asian people with Louis Vuitton purses and all this other stuff and they ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even see white people doing that stuff. So if you see a white person with a Louis Vuitton purse, I'm pretty sure they got a whole bunch of money. You see Black people with Louis Vuitton, they go and check the check. And it's culture. Not every Black person. Some Black people are wealthy, but it's culture, my man. And I think that we're afraid to address our culture because we don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. You know, we have a violent culture. If we make up 6% of the population, we commit over half of the murders in this country. We have to look in the mirror and say, what is going on with our culture? Mexicans aren't doing this. White people aren't doing this. Asian people aren't doing this. You talk about Somalian people in this country aren't doing this. Immigrants aren't doing this. It's Black people. You know what I'm saying? And brother, I'm telling you, just look at the music, man. I love country music. Some people may not like country music, whatever. I don't hear country.
Amazing, man.
Bro, country music ain't walking around talking about, put these N words on the cattle, doing all this other stuff. They're not talking about murdering, going to jail, killing people, selling dope. And so just imagine, just say for the sake of argument that white people listen to country and Black people listen to rap. Just say for the sake of argument that that's the truth. Well, the music that's being interjected into white people are not promoting violence and murder and jail and prison time. The music that's being interjected into Black people are literally glorifying sluts, being sluts, treating women like sluts, baby mamas, drug deals, prison sentences, running up on people, killing other people, murdering them, getting teardrops under your eyes, sagging your pants, gold teeth in your mouth. They're setting you up for failure. If you just said, I'm gonna listen to everything that rappers say, you will go to jail or hell at the end of that. If you say, I'm gonna listen to everything country music people say, you're probably gonna be on a farm somewhere drinking beers and feeling sad sometimes and being happy sometimes. That's all country music is. It's not that deep, I can say that about rock and roll music. Rock and roll music is pretty good, but if you listen to goth, I know goth, I don't even know if this is genre, but if you listen to some of that music, it's kind of dark. If you listen to it all day, you're gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? You probably start killing people. But for the most part, African Americans are really struggling in holding themselves accountable. Yeah. Just like the good parent, bad parent. Perfect example. I might make a video about it. Michelle Obama said, Barack Obama is the good parent, Donald Trump is the bad parent, and I don't agree with that because I feel like the good parent is the one who tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The good parent is the one that give you tough love, to discipline you, that don't give you everything you want, that abide by household principles. The bad parent is the one who lie to you, deceive you, and give you everything you want, and not hold you accountable for anything, and then that pit you and your brother against each other. That's a bad parent, my man. And so, I don't know, man. I can go on about that. I'll get you next question,
man. No, man.
I'll start rambling, man.
No, man. That's I'm like, I'm waiting for more. I'm like, damn, I want to know where he's gonna go with this. Like, I'm enjoying it, man. But no, man. Like, I don't know if I've I probably should start talking about this too on my channel too. But out here in Hawaii, I'm amazed to see how there's a lot of local people out here in Hawaii that keep talking about the same thing, that they're oppressed and they hate America. There actually is a large group of people that are the local population out here that want to push for Hawaii to be annexed from the U.S. They want to go back to what it used to be, and they're constantly saying how they hate, like in Hawaii they call whites haoles, and they say they hate the haoles, they hate them, they want them to die. They'll call them what is the other thing they call them? Colonizer. The level of prejudice, hatred, and bigotry in Hawaii. I tell a lot of people, I say, if the only thing you do is go to Waikiki or Maui, like the tourist spots, you will never see how the dirty side of how it is out here. And it's amazing how when they constantly say how like oppressed we are and this, and this, and I'm like, but you got everything in place. You have the Hawaiian homestead to get you land if you can prove your bloodline. You got all these scholarships that get to send you full ride for free to college. You get financial assistance. You get all this stuff that's in place, as an apology for taking Hawaii. But yet, no, they're like, oh, we want to be completely separate. We hate America, but we still want to have our phones and food stamps and Facebook and all this other stuff. And I'm like, how Sway?
Yeah. I think it happened in the Black community too. There's just so much racism and prejudice in the Black community. And I mean, Black people talk about white people being racist, man. Black people are just as racist, man. When I grew up, you better not dare bring no white girl home. You will get humiliated. You will get talked about. I mean, it just wouldn't have been a good deal growing up where I grew up at. There's slurs, there's racial slurs that Black people call white people all the time. And you know what they are. It rhymes with, or at least goes in line with saltine. But you know what comes after that is what they call white people. And like, it's not right. It's not right. And I feel like that they talk this good game and they say all these things, but they want the benefit that white people give them, but they don't want white people to be a part of it. Yeah. And it's like, go back to Africa then. This is not your country. To be honest, this wasn't your country. Black people it wasn't founded by Black people. So the fact that Black people are now citizens and stuff like that and they can vote, it's a privilege. You get what I'm saying? Like, and all white people weren't responsible, like I said. It's not like I look at every white person and say, thank you for giving me, access to this, because they probably had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And my ancestors probably came from Africa and never was a part of slavery. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that historically, people should be more grateful than they are unappreciative. Like, the slaves had it rough. But man, thank God that if slavery was abolished. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Thank God that we now have rights to do X, Y, Z. Can we at least look at the progress that we've made and be thankful for it? Mm-hmm. For the love of God, if you really just hate it, then go to another country. Yeah. And we know that people are never going to do that because they ain't going to get no iPhones in Nigeria. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I ain't never been to Nigeria. I don't even know how developed Nigeria is, to be honest. But I know about Botswana. You may not, like my friend was telling me he go to Botswana almost every year, and I don't even think they have internet access everywhere. I think they're just now starting to get internet. Kiss Facebook goodbye. You ain't gonna be on no social media. You ain't gonna be on no Facebook. You don't have no Instagram. You ain't gonna be getting no DMs. You know what I'm saying? You better forget. You ain't gonna be wearing Louis Vuittons. They probably ain't got no place you can buy nothing like that. You think you're gonna be swagged out? You ain't gonna be swagged out in no Africa. Hot in the mud. They probably ain't got no good houses. You know, they probably, yeah, y'all tripping. You're tripping like a mud, man. It's like, it's this illusion, man. I'm glad to be in America. Thank God that I'm in America right now. You know, that I'm not a slave. Thank God I missed that part. But I'm very thankful that this country as a whole has brought us to this point of prosperity. And brother, we can be anything we want to be in this country. You can be the president of the United States, i.e. Barack Obama was the president 2 terms. I mean, come on. Like, what is the excuse? One of the richest women in the world. She probably is the richest woman in the world. Oprah Winfrey. At least she's the richest woman in America, I'm sure of. Oprah Winfrey, black woman, richest woman in America. Like, I mean, I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me, but she's worth billions. Like, she got to be one of the richest women in America. I don't even know of any woman that's richer than her. But like, look at her. Look at Beyonce and Jay-Z, a black couple, almost worth $1 billion. Like, I mean, you could go on and on and on. All these NFL players, millionaires. Like, you can be whatever you want to be. You put in the work. Look at. They like to forget about Ben Carson. Ben Carson came from nothing, man. He came from a troubled background, and now he's one of the most world-renowned brain surgeons to ever exist.
And he's hated.
And they hate that brother. Like, he's an example of what black people should aspire to be. But because he's a conservative, they hate him. He'll sell out. That man ain't sold out to nobody. Thomas Sowell is one of the most brilliant people I have ever heard in my life. Him and Larry Elder.
Yes, sir.
Like, we need these people in the black community. And what they do is they having these disciples. I'm almost thinking like this is Jesus. Like, you know, Jesus came down. Jesus had his apostles, right? His 12 apostles, I'll say 11, because Bartholomew or whatever, I forget his name. They never really got considered. I think obviously Paul ended up being like the 12th apostle. But anyway, even though he wasn't ever an apostle. Long story short, God went out into the world. I mean, Jesus went out into the world and he established the gospel, right? He had the gospel out there, spreading good news to all these people. You know, literally, people like Thomas Sowell, Larry Elder are like disciples for the black community. They're coming to bring the good news. They're accomplished. They're brilliant. They're great examples for young people. They've been through struggles that they've overcome. These disciples need to be in our communities. But what they do is they're blocking them out. Mm-hmm. And the people who need them aren't blocking them out. It's the people who want control of blocking them out. They know that Larry Elder and them will come into the community and just and wreak shop. Because, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, if black people will wake up, man, we would probably be much more prosperous. Yeah. We just sleepy right now, man. We sleepy, man. We too entertained, man. We not even. I know people that don't even vote, and I'm like, what you complaining for? You didn't vote.
Exactly.
Like people die. So, like for instance, I went up to the thing to vote. I was like, man, ever since you know, started really thinking, I'm like, man, people die so I can vote. Man, I vote on everything. I'm up there voting, and I'm like, everybody that don't vote, like for instance, what's the ignorant dude's name? A football player that took a knee in the national anthem, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah. Colin Kaepernick said he didn't even vote. It's like, bro, how are you an activist for black people and you don't even vote? Like, black people died and fought and was tortured and probably ridiculed and spat on so we can vote. And now we can vote and you don't even vote. Yep. Like, that's a spit in the face of other black people. And you want to call yourself an activist and you don't even vote. That's just so dumb to me, man. I mean, I'm sorry, my hat is feeling weird on my head. My hair look nappy. I'm feeling like, bro, I think Martin Luther King's grave is like smoking right now. He rolling in his grave so hard that it's starting to smoke. His grave is catching on fire. All our ancestors are smoking in the grave right now because they rolling so hard in the grave. Like, are you serious? This is what I would tell young brothers in the country. Are you that weak that you cannot overcome somebody not liking you because of the color of your skin? Man, people used to get beat and murdered because of the color of their skin. Now somebody look at you weird, or they may or may not give you a job because you black, and oh my God, I can't make it in this world. Our ancestors were doing. Man, in the face of getting beat and murdered and lynched, they developed things. They built families. They built businesses. Like, here's an argument that somebody made. They're like, well, the white man burned down Black Wall Street, or whatever, which is relatively true. Not every white man, but it was a group of, it was driven, I think, racially driven. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, why can't we build it in 2018? Why can't we build something like that in 2018? Because then the real story is not that they burned it down. The fact that we built something like that way back then. You know what I'm saying? We had that much economic power way back then. Now, how in the world do we not have that economic power today? We are more free. We have more affirmative action. We have more government assistance. We have more representation. A black man was the president. We have more availability now to be prosperous, but we did so much more way back then. People can't explain why. And it's because of culture, the degeneration of our culture.
It's so true, man. It's mind blowing. I got one last question for you before we can get to the Q&A. And basically, I really want to get your perspective on this because I had more questions, but I just noticed how everything that we've been talking about kind of covered everything I wanted to ask. So that's the amazing thing. But what and shout out to Conservative Mexican. He's in the chat watching the show. He's enjoying the stream. Awesome. I'd love to see a collaboration with you two. I wanted to ask this, and when it comes to groups like Black Lives Matter, let me. Do you feel that they are helping the Black community, or do you feel that they and the leftist liberals and the mainstream media are causing a massive divide, not only in the Black community, but also in American society as a whole?
Yeah, I think Black Lives Matter is completely counterproductive to anything Black. I think that Black Lives Shatter is what they should be called, because they're not helping anybody, really. It's kind of like trying to be the jack of all trades and not being good at anything. Actually being bad at everything, because I think originally Black Lives Matter probably had a good foundation. Like, it was meant to stand up for young Black people like Trayvon Martin, which Trayvon Martin wasn't an innocent saint, but I do think Zimmerman went too far. Yeah. And Black people want to stand up for that. I didn't have a problem. But now we going off the rails, my man. Black Lives Matter is burning down our own communities. Like in Ferguson, they burning their own stuff down, looting and burning, and they on TV demanding that white people give up their property. They on TV saying burn police officers, kill them, fry them like bacon. They're just doing so many counterproductive, evil, hateful, racist things, and trying to promote it as them fighting against racism. Black Lives Matter, at least for what I've seen, haven't addressed not one serious Black issue, none of them. I equate Black Lives Matter to a person who has cancer in the body, right? Mm-hmm. Black Lives Matter is the person who has cancer in the body, and then also, have a stubbed toe. Like, you hit your pinky toe on the end of the bed, and it hurt like a mug. Mm-hmm. So they had a stubbed toe, and they have cancer in the body. Black Lives Matter is more concerned about the stubbed toe than they are about the cancer. And they are more concerned about police interactions, which most of them are justified, than they are about single-parent homes, dropout rate, recidivism rate, crack epidemic. It's still an epidemic. Heroin epidemic, Molly, and all these other opioids. I don't even know if Molly is an opioid, but all these other opioids like heroin and other stuff that's in our communities. The Black on Black violence. And this one thing that my book is going to be about. My book is going to be called Smoke Inhalation. And I'll talk about it more later on. But the basis of it is the residual effect of actions, right? Most people in fires die from smoke inhalation. Most of them die from smoke inhalation. So a lot of them don't die from the fire, but everybody see the fire and they're like, oh my God, this person burned alive. No, they die from smoke inhalation. They die from the byproduct of the fire. And so this is a lot of what's going on in the Black community is that Black Lives Matter, they're not addressing the byproduct of Black on Black violence. They're not addressing the byproduct of dropping out of school, the byproduct of single parent homes. They're not addressing any of those. It's not just a single parent home that's the problem. It's the byproduct of single parent homes that's killing us. And thousands and thousands and thousands of Black people are dying every single year that can be completely preventable. But instead of us addressing those things as Black Lives Matter, we just gloss over them because it's not juicy enough, and it's going to take hard work. It's not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to point the finger when you talk about dropout rates. You can't point the finger on that. You know, you have to look in the mirror, and these people don't want to look in the mirror. And the sad thing is that the people who lead these organizations aren't really speaking for the people. They're brainwashing the people. You know, that guy McKenzie or whatever his name is, that dude is an activist. He lives to be an activist. He's not a genuine person, in my opinion. He's getting funded by this stuff. He's making money off of this stuff. You know, why do you see Al Sharpton at that kid at Stephon Clark's funeral? Al Sharpton don't even know that kid. Why is he doing his funeral, his eulogy? It's money. Yeah. Because they're getting ready to get a huge payout settlement from the police department. Even though the police are going to be found justified, they're going to get a huge payout. Michael Brown, the DOJ did an independent investigation into Michael Brown's situation. They found that the police officer was not in any way responsible for his death, like negligently. It was a justified shooting. The government found that, and they still paid his family like $3 million. So Al Sharpton finna get a payout. Why does this guy Crump, I forget his first name, Jason Crump, I don't know his name. I mean, I know a friend named Jason Crump, so it's definitely not Jason Crump. But his last name is Crump. Why is this attorney always represent all the Black people in these major incidents? He ain't never gonna represent Black people that ain't on the news. Why is he around all these Trayvon Martin, all these big time cases? Because he finna get paid. People don't care about you, they care about their paycheck. And that's leading us down a real negative path. So I don't want to get too far off a subject, but I really do think the Black community is suffering, and Black Lives Matter is just adding fuel to the fire for political correctness and political gain. And there's even white people on Black Lives Matter. You know, like, it's just Black Lives Matter have defended people who have been justifiably shot. They defend people who pull a gun on a cop, shoot the cop, shoot him back, kill him, they defending that guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and then I'm gonna tell you this is what really made me mad. There was a kid his last name was Mekel, and he was a cop, I think, in New Orleans. And he got murdered on duty by another Black man. He got out of his car, the guy was in the bushes, some shot Mekel like in the face and stuff. He killed him on the scene. I think he died right there. Maybe he died on the way to the hospital. But anyway, he killed him. He got killed by another black man in New Orleans. This police officer, this Black man, was volunteering in the Black community, teaching young people how to read. He volunteered in all other aspects of the Black community. Not only was he a police officer, he joined the police department so he can patrol the Black community with his life. He also was responsible for sending another police officer and a few police officers to jail because they were doing inappropriate stuff, and he snitched on them. And he fought against them, and they went to jail over this stuff. So not only is he productive in the community, he's also productive in law enforcement, and he's also holding police officers accountable. That man loses his life to another Black man. You don't hear nothing from Black Lives Matter. And New Orleans Saints had the nerve. Players on the team had the nerve. When they were honoring him during the New Orleans football game, the football players took a knee during the honoring of Mekel, a Black man who contributed to the community, not only personally, professionally, and he held the police officers accountable. He's like the ideal police officer. Nobody talks about him. Nobody cared. His Black life didn't matter. Nobody cared. They didn't give his kids any funds or nothing like that. I'm gonna tell you another person, and then we'll go on to the question and answer. This little kid named, I forget his name now. I made a video. Tashawn Lee. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's Tayshawn or Tashawn, but I'll say Tayshawn Lee. So Tayshawn Lee, he was the young brother in Chicago, South Side Chicago, that was in the alleyway and some gang members, I guess they were looking for his dad or whatever. They ended up shooting this. They ended up they put their cigarette butts out on this kid, and they shot him and in the chest and in the face multiple times. 9-year-old boy, Tashawn Lee. His grandmother walked into the alley after the gunfire, after she probably thought she was in Afghanistan. After the gunfire went off, she comes out to see her grandson in a pool of blood, shot in the chest and face. Oh, I Googled it, man. I looked it up. I didn't see a single Black Lives Matter protest for that kid. I didn't see not one NBA player wearing that kid t-shirt. I don't even know. I mean, I haven't even heard nothing about that. I saw one protest, picture of a protest, where they had Tashawn Lee and they had Alton Sterling in the same protest. I'm like, this is what Black Lives Matter do. You know, these young people are getting murdered every day, man. I mean, it's just horrifying. Innocent young man putting cigarette butts out on that boy. Black Lives Matter don't care. That's why I can't take them serious, man. And that's why I think they're detrimental to the black community, because they got dumb black people just worried about police officers. They're worried about the stubbed toe when the freaking cancer is just destroying them.
That's some heavy stuff, man. Thank you for talking on that too, because it's truth like this that needs to get out, and people need to be able to see what's really going on, and Black Lives Matter, man. Oh, that group. Man, I was gonna ask you what you think of the Tariq Nasheed guy, but I'm not gonna.
What about that one? I forget that one.
Tariq Nasheed, he's kind of like the new race hustling Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson.
Tariq Nasheed, is he dressed like a real professional on his Instagram where he have a suit and everything on?
Yeah,
I think I've seen Tariq Nasheed. I seen him a couple times. I don't pay attention to him.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but I'm pretty sure he's an idiot anyway. You know, if he's supporting Black Lives Matter, he's an idiot.
And to him, everything is white supremacy.
You know who worse than him? Well, he may be just as bad. They got Sean King. Sean King. Do you know who Sean King is?
No. I think yeah.
He's the white man who's saying that he's black and everything is racist and black people are oppressed. This man is a white. And it's the same thing with that other lady who she was the head of the NAACP or something. And then she was white the whole time. I forget you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then they found out she was white, and then now they want to throw her under the bus when she probably done more for the black community than black people have. And she white. And so Sean King is the same way. They found his birth certificate, man, and his biological parents are both white. He's white on his birth certificate. When you look at pictures of him when he ain't got that, you know what black people edge their hair up and stuff, he ain't got the edge up in the low cut. When you see him with the curly hair, he look like a white boy. But then he get older, he want to pass as a black man and then create this animosity. This dummy had the nerve to say it was a shooting where a black man pulled a gun and shot the police and they shot him back. He said it was unjustified. And I'm just like, this brother, every shooting is unjustified to him. And Sean King should be ashamed of himself, man. I called that fool out and he blocked me from, I can't even post on his Facebook no more. You know how somebody block you, can't even comment on the thing? I can't share or I can't comment on none of this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you blocked me because I went hard on him a few times in some of his videos. Like people like that are just so ridiculous and so bad for the black community, man. So, but yeah, what's that guy's name?
Tariq Nasheed.
I think I follow that fool on Instagram. I mean Twitter. Let's see.
Okay.
I may have seen him before. I'm gonna try to look him up real quick.
All right. So while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and put the questions out. So Hanging Arizona asks, what is your opinion about troops on the border? Because I did notice earlier in the chat that there is a Hanging Arizona who's saying that it's important for us to have the troops on the border. And then I saw that also Jiggly, who's also in the chat earlier, he's saying that it's not constitutional.
Well, This is pretty much my thoughts on it, and this is how it works lawfully. So I think we should have our troops on the border. I mean, we had a legitimate threat of people just getting in caravans and buses and just saying they just gonna run right through our border and then claim asylum. That's not happening. It should never happen. I don't care who you are. Until we can secure the border, we need to put our military down there and our National Guard down there to assist Border Patrol. They're not taking over. They're not taking over the border. They're there to assist Border Patrol in areas that they need help. So I agree with it 100%. I think we need to send our troops down there. It's our border. We're a sovereign nation. We are a nation separate from Mexico. If we decide that it's becoming a national issue for our border to be secured and we need more resources, then we're going to send the National Guard to our national border. And so I don't have a problem with that. When it comes to being unconstitutional, I mean, people can argue what they want to. Each state has a right to deploy, and they have a responsibility in the final say to deploy, our National Guard. It's a state level thing. But if the president of the United States of America deem it to be a national security issue and a threat to our sovereign nation, he can deploy the National Guard without their say so. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this again from Eisenhower back when children were desegregating schools. And you see the picture of the National Guard, escorting these young black girls to school. So that's an example of Eisenhower, who's the president, who can thwart the rights, or what you say the rights, who can thwart the authority of the state to implement the National Guard to pretty much act on behalf of the government for national security issue. Nobody's complaining about the National Guard escorting these young African-American girls to school every day, or at least in the inception of it when the rule was passed. Nobody's complaining about that. Nobody's complaining that Eisenhower overstepped his bounds, unless they didn't want these black girls to be safe going to school. Same thing with the border. You got people talking about they're going to just run over our border. We don't know who they are. We haven't vetted them. They're trying to claim asylum. That is a huge national security threat. So the president has the right to do that. And if somebody disagrees with me, then go look up the law for yourself. Go look up, does the president have the right to have final say and authority over the National Guard? Google that, find it. I saw it on another person. They actually put the code or whatever that gives the president that right. I don't have it, but if somebody they don't believe me, then go look it up.
Okay, awesome. I noticed that I'm not sure if he's still in the chat, but the anti-partisan, he basically he made a statement and a question he wanted me to ask. One was, how are you after the getting hit when you were on your bike? Are you doing okay? Because I meant to ask you that earlier.
Yeah, I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. I just got, these scars are healing. Some of the ones on this arm healing. I got some on my back is healing. So I'm doing fine, man. I still think about that wreck almost every day, man. I haven't even been back on my bike. Obviously, my bike is destroyed. I got to wait for the insurance company to pay me money. That freaking bike that bike is worth, but the bike, the helmet, and everything that was damaged is worth $11,000. So he's going to have to pay the insurance company have to pay a lot of money to replace my bike and my helmet and all that other stuff. Because I'm an avid cyclist, man. I ride about 150, 200 miles a week. And so obviously I have a very, very expensive bike. I'm starting to race and do other stuff. So this person has just really messed up my timing. I was a little upset with him, but I'm okay, man. I lived. By the grace of God, man, I wasn't even sore. And people on the scene said that I was flying 10 feet in the air, upside down, after he hit me. And I remember being upside down. I didn't think I was that high in the air. But, I could have broke my neck. I could have, damaged my face. I could have gotten a severe head injury, brain bleed. I could have had internal bleeding. I could have broke bones, man. God, by the grace of God, man, I didn't even bruise anything. Only thing I got is road rash. You know what I'm saying? And that's it, man. So I'm doing fine. I'm really thankful to God, and I'm just a little emotional about not being able to ride right now. But overall, man, I'm just thankful to be alive, man. I could have been dead.
Yeah, man. I definitely had you in my prayers when I saw your video about that, man. I'm glad you're doing good. God's got his hand on you, man. He definitely does. And I've been in a situation out here where I was riding my bike and I got clipped by a car, and my bike got totaled. My helmet got split in half, and all I had too was road rash. But
Yeah.
that happened to me 8 years ago, and I have not touched a moped,
Oh,
motorcycle
wow.
since.
Wow.
Like it's like when I looked at my helmet, I'm like, my helmet split in half. Like that could have been my head. I'm so good,
Yeah.
and I was known for like not wearing my helmet a lot. And the one day I wear it, I was like,
Yeah, man. I seen people heads split like that in real life, brains and everything. And I'm like, I'll be darned if I don't wear a helmet, man. I'll be darned. Because that is exactly what's gonna happen to you. And bro, my helmet was a $250 helmet, right?
mm-hmm.
That helmet completely destroyed the back of the helmet because I hit my head like this. I'm telling you, man, like if I didn't have a helmet, I'd have hit my head and either I'd have busted my head or I would have had serious brain injury. You know what I'm saying? Because my head hit the windshield. Because when he hit me, I rolled over backwards and hit the windshield. And so my head hit the windshield and then it slid me sideways and threw me off of the car upside down. You know, I was like, my feet was in the air, my back was to the ground, and it threw me out like this. And I'm upside down, like, oh crap, I'm falling, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up hitting my head on the ground too. Like when I landed head back and I slid. And so, like, bro, if that was my scalp hitting the concrete like that from 10 feet in the air, I would have been either had a serious traumatic brain injury, or my head would have probably busted open. My brains would have came out, and that would have been. What would I tell my son? You know what I'm saying? I got hit a week before me and him were supposed to go to Disneyland. That wouldn't have been good if I was dead. You know what I'm saying? That's why I wear my helmet. And I tell anybody ride a bike, wear a helmet. If you don't wear a helmet, don't get mad if your brains get busted if you get hit by somebody. So please wear your helmet at all times, especially on your motorcycle. I see motorcyclists, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I seen a guy on a motorcycle, no helmet, fall off the motorcycle on the freeway, get run over by cars. So that helmet, and it wasn't pretty. So wear your helmet as a motorcyclist, for real. I'm not trying to scare nobody. I'm just saying, man, you don't want your family to see you like that. You know what I mean? When they won't see you like that, you just won't have an open casket. But it's still bad.
Definitely, man. So we got about like 2 more questions on here from people. So Green Wave 2018 asked, he said, asked him if he thinks the gas attack is a false flag. I'm not sure what's the gas attack.
I think they ended up gassing people in Syria again. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting how when Trump is saying, hey, we're going to move the troops out of Syria, all of a sudden they get gassed. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, Assad supposedly is responsible for gassing people in Syria again. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wouldn't look past it. I think we need to not get tunnel vision when it comes to this, because it is kind of ironic that all of a sudden the president, we can look at it two ways. The president said he want to remove our troops. People responsible for our troops are like, we're not removing them until we win this battle. So I kind of find it interesting that right around this time, somehow they end up gassing the citizens again. So I'm not really sure, man, to be honest. I'm not ruling out a false flag. And I'm not saying that this dude ain't just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he just wanted to, maybe he's perceiving that we're gathering our loins to move out of there, and he's going to gas him again when we're most vulnerable. Moving out, we're trying to move away from it, because I really do think that it will be beneficial to gas your own people and do all this crazy stuff, knowing that we're pre-planning to not really be a part of the conflict any longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that could be a reasonable tactical thing. Maybe they want to draw us back in, to weaken us even further. Because Trump, the reason we want to remove us, because he wants us to focus more on America and allow independent troops or people in that region to be able to defend for themselves. They got a lot more to lose than we do. That ain't our people that's being gassed. That's not our people. You know what I'm saying? If these people start acting a fool and terrorists start blowing up, they not over here in America. They over there. So we really want to get them to the point where they can kind of fend for themselves. So this could definitely be a false flag. And I say, man, I can't really think either way, but I'll tell anybody, don't get tunnel vision. Look at every angle from this before you make a determination of who's at fault.
Yeah, definitely. Conservative Mexican, he actually has two questions. One, he wants to know, what do blacks in your area think about illegal immigration and how they are becoming the second most populated ethnicity in America, if not already? And his second question is, have you ever connected with ABL or Anthony Brian Logan, which he's also another great YouTuber. Like, and it seems like the people in chat and watching, they'd love to see you guys do a collaboration.
Oh yeah. I actually know. I'll answer the second question first. I'm pretty cool with Anthony Brian Logan. Me and him have been on another guy's channel. His name is O'Shea. His channel is just by black people. They cuss on there and they say the N-word and everything on that channel. I don't like it, but I think that the dialogue in which we can express our opinions on is really invaluable because he put on black conservatives and black liberals and we go at it about certain issues. And I really do think that that's a good thing. But like me and ABL been on there a few times together. And even on there, people were saying that me and ABL should do a video together. So I'm going to reach out to ABL. He reached out to me one time and I couldn't come on the show because I was busy. So yeah, I know him and I guarantee you, I'm probably going to try to get on his show and we probably can collab on something because we're like-minded. And we both have pretty big followers. The first question, I don't really know what black people really think, man, because see, I don't live in a black community right now. I live in Anthem. It's majority white. I think it's like 5 of us black people out here, you know, and Arizona ain't a huge black population, you know what I'm saying? And even when I was in Tucson, it was largely Hispanic and white, and it was like 5% were black. So it wasn't a huge population in Tucson. But I can tell you that in my opinion, I think black people are seeing the effects of this, man. And I think black people don't like the fact that illegal immigrants are coming into our communities. Because I'm just gonna give you an example where I grew up at. Like my grandmama, I grew up Stop 6. And anybody that know anything about Fort Worth, I didn't say I grew up there, you know, I lived there for a period of time at Stop 6. And I remember there used to be an all black community. And I remember in Fort Worth, we used to have a mall that was called Town Center. And believe it or not, we were in a shootout in the mall because we watching a movie and black people shooting and stuff. Me and my dad, I was a young kid, man. Black people in there shooting and we ducking all on the ground and all kind of stuff. So it was an all black mall. Everything was black owned, everything. You know, we go back to that mall now, it's called Fiesta now. Nothing but Mexicans. They don't even speak English in that mall. A whole mall, all Mexicans. My grandmother community that we grew up in, she been there 30-some years. Everybody in the community was black. Now, the Mexicans are all over the community. Like on the other side of the road, nothing but Mexicans. They got like 10 people living in one house. At least 5 adults living in one house at minimum. And these houses are like 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. So they got five adults plus living in the house. And I'm starting to see all of these houses are now Mexicans and they're not black. So where are the black people going? You get what I'm saying? So, you know, all of that economy and that money that was brought into the community through a black-owned mall, well, where are those businesses at? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these people aren't legal, and they can afford to live in houses where it's like 5 or 6 adults in a 2-bedroom because the quality of life really isn't that important. So black people don't do that stuff. Black people actually want to have families and develop things. So I honestly believe that black people are, obviously we've seen a shift in voting. Like, you know, we've seen a large number of people vote for Donald Trump that didn't vote for Mitt Romney. And I think largely because of this border security issue. So I really, to be honest, man, I can't really speak because I haven't really talked to a lot of black people about it who aren't conservative. I'm saying like regular black people. Conservatives, they agree with me and they 100%. But like I'm talking about random black people that live in these communities that's not politically driven for me to talk to them. I haven't talked to anybody like that, so I really don't know. But if I had to make an estimate based on what I've visibly seen in the black community I grew up in, it is affecting black people tremendously. Tremendously. You know, black people who are convicted felons, they get out of prison, they don't have nowhere to work. They don't have no jobs. We don't own nothing in the community. Mexicans buying it up and hiring other Mexicans. Then you can't even speak Spanish. So they hiring people speaking Spanish. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they can't even speak English, so they hire other people to speak Spanish. And so black people are really seeing a lot of these jobs that were previously owned by black people, previously run by black people, and who were employed black people are now employed Mexicans. And I honestly believe that those black people are now unemployed. Those black people are now selling drugs on the system. You know what I'm saying? That just, I honestly believe that is happening in our community. So pretty much my best response to that.
All right, cool. And I remember I asked Amazing Lucas about this when I had him on my podcast, and he was saying the same thing, that it's you got whole areas in California where it's if you don't speak Spanish, like it's required for you to speak Spanish. If you don't speak it, you're not gonna get the job. And I remember a conservative Mexican had brought that up too, like as that being an issue, and it is, and it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. You know.
Yeah. I mean, our national language is English. Um, that's it. That's what it is. And I think that people need to come here and assimilate. Most people that come here who are immigrants, they learn English. I mean, it is invaluable for you to learn English. You know, the news is in English. I mean, unless you go to Telemundo, but if you go to Telemundo now you don't have a full perspective of what's going on. Newspapers are in English. You know, every sign in America is in English, pretty much. All the traffic signs, everything is in English. You go to any restaurant, most restaurants, the menu is in English. You call on the phone somewhere, you know, they starting to open it up now, and telling habla español número dos or whatever, so they tell you to push two if you speak Spanish. So they have things like that out there, but like most police officers in America speak English and most dispatchers speak English. So when you start getting into these dynamics of people who cannot speak English, you become a detriment to society. I used to take calls and nobody speak English. And I'm like, I don't know Spanish. So you're going to either wait until we have a Spanish speaker, or we're going to have to go through and jump hoops to use the language line. We got to call another person for them to tell me what you're telling them. And then we write a report. It's such a detriment. It's such an issue that police officers don't even want to deal with that. And then especially if you get into a situation where it's violent, you need help right away and nobody knows what you're talking about. They can't even take a case report from you. Nobody knows Spanish. So it is in their best interest to learn these things. And I think we need to enforce it. I think why Donald Trump and the nationalistic ideology is appropriate. Go to Mexico and can't speak Spanish. They're not finna baby you unless you're in a tourist place. Other than that, they ain't finna baby you. You don't know the language, you're screwed. America, we at least try to accommodate some of this stuff, but I think that we need to push that more as a rhetoric, is that you need to learn English. I'm even willing for people who are immigrants legally that come here, that the government can assist in funding them or helping with programs at school for them to learn English, because it's a necessity for them to learn. And if they want to learn, I don't mind helping them learn. If they're legal. They're illegal, too bad. Go on.
All right. Hayden Bennett, he has a question. He wants to know, what is the best way for young people, especially in poor communities, to stay out of trouble and be on the right path?
I think that it's going to come down to having positive role models. And you obviously can't make people mentor you or whatever, but understand your dreams and goals and then try to find individuals to emulate. Like for instance, if you're a young person, and I see that question is kind of vague because I'm not sure if he's telling me what would I tell to young people who don't have dreams, don't have hopes and aspirations. What would I tell them? Or what would I tell young people who have aspirations that live in the hood? So let me try to address both. So this is what I would tell for young people who don't have role models, who, smoking weed and doing stuff they shouldn't do. And this is what I would tell them to try to prevent themselves from getting in trouble, is to realize that, the path to illegal activity is jail or hell. I don't know what else to tell you. My grandma used to tell me that all the time. You can either go to jail or you're going to get killed living a fast life. So what I would say is that I would tell young people, what do you want to be? What do you want to see happen? Are you tired of living in poverty? Are you tired of your mom and them struggling? Are you mad or that your daddy ain't around? If those are the cases, then be a part of the change. Don't be a part of the problem. And then if that young man can understand and open his understanding and he wants to be right and he has the mindset to do the right thing, then I will tell them, find people like myself, like you, read books for conservative people who you agree with, who you think are great role models. Then listen to their story. Read about how they overcame. Read about Ben Carson. And let those people be your role models and people that you look after instead of looking at Jay-Z and some of these other rappers. But then also put yourself in a position to be the best you can be, and understand that you are accountable for all of your own actions. Don't ever fall down the trap of feeling like anybody's responsible for your failure but yourself. Your parents aren't. Nobody is but yourself. And hold on a second. My phone.
Okay.
Plug it up. So take personal responsibility and understand that that's pivotal in your growth and development as a person. I'm trying to think what else to tell a young person. I mean, I want to know what position that they're in, but those are principles that I live by. Take accountability for your actions. Understand that you can be whatever you can be whoever you want to be in this world if you work hard enough. And understand that you can be whatever you want to be, but being whatever you want to be may not be what's best for you. You know what I'm saying? So God may divert you when you thought you're supposed to be the president of the United States. You may end up being, owning your own business somewhere else. So those are concepts that I would tell young people to do. Stay away from people that's gonna get you in trouble too.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to be isolated. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to be an outcast. And don't be afraid to hang around white people or other Black people, Hispanics that are not popular and that's not a part of the status quo. Be comfortable in your own skin. Like being you is the most valuable thing you can do. And then understand that, you may not be popular in school, being that way, being conservative, but later in life, it's going to benefit you. And all these fine women in high school that had bodies and middle school that had bodies when we were in middle school, they all fat and ugly right now. And nobody like them. So don't worry about what people think of you. And if you're not getting the attention and you're not very popular in school, because these are kids. All of y'all kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know no better. When you get older, you're going to be the one owning businesses having a 401k, having a retirement plan, owning multiple properties, driving and living the lifestyle you want to live in your 30s. And the people that you thought were cool going to be in prison and still living in the same community you grew up in, working from job to job, and still blaming the government and blaming white people or whatever, if you white, whatever excuse that people want to make. So, I mean, that's probably the best thing that I can say. Individual people that come to me, everybody has a different background and story. So obviously, if I was talking to individuals, I have a personal explanation for them. But in general, that's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely, man. And one of the things I like to tell people, like to young people, I'm like, whatever is happening to or around you from birth till 18 is on your parents. It's their responsibility to take care of you. But 18 and a day and beyond, that's on you. And accountability really has to be very, very, accountability and character go a long way.
Yeah, and I would even add to that and say I would tell young people to be as accountable as they can, even at a young age. Society is going to look at your parents and say it's your parents' fault. But you're young. Your parents tell you to wash the dishes, wash the dishes. When your parents tell you don't lie, don't lie. There's certain level of things that you can be accountable for as a young person. Now, of course, you're not going to be accountable for paying your own bills and all that other stuff. You should be. You still live with your parents. But the little accountability that you do have, try to maximize it. You know what I'm saying? And when you get grown, you're going to have a whole bunch more. And everything is going to fall in your lap, So, but the little things you can't control, like you can't control what your parents do. You can't control where you live. You can't control some of these other things. Don't worry about that. Worry about what you can control. You can control going to school, doing the best you can on your schoolwork. You can control whether or not you bully people. You can control whether or not you, go as hard as you can in sports or whatever it is that you do. So maximize your ability to control what you can, and then lead the rest up to God.
Yeah. Hang in Arizona wants to know, where'd you get your shirt?
Oh, that's so funny. I guess so I have a link. This is what the shirt says. If people don't know, let me show it. It says deplorables. Have these people here. So I used to work for the company, and obviously I made a cut from all the shirts I sold, but I ain't got time to be going through all that. So I'll just tell you where to find it. You can go to patriotdepot.com. Just go to patriotdepot.com, and you can click on there. You can find it, deplorables. It's called deplorables. So in the search engine, if you click deplorables, you can find this shirt. And I think it's in different colors. It may not just be in white. And they have a female cut. So I don't know if it was a guy or a girl that asked me that, but
all right.
patriotdepot.com is where you can find it.
All right. So the last question we have is from Conservative Mexican. He wants to know, how do we get people away from voting Democratic when they are attracted by free stuff, such as the Obama phone and the food stamps and all the other stuff.
I think that, the people that got free stuff and the people that work for their stuff are in two different lifestyles. Like, I think that I work for everything I have, and I have a lot more than people that get free stuff. And I think that inevitably people who get free stuff actually want to be where I'm at, And if you get to the core of who they are, that's how you get to them. You say, you know what? That's fine. You got free stuff. They gave you free stuff, but do you have a job? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you got a free iPhone. You got a free Obama phone, but I got an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? You getting $200 for groceries or $300 for groceries every month. I got thousands of dollars I can spend on groceries if I wanted to. So you can encourage them to say, okay, they can give you free stuff. Somebody can give you fish, but you want people to teach you how to fish. You want people to teach you, somebody can give you, the little floaties on your arm when you're in the water, and they can guide you in the water, but you really want people to teach you how to swim so that you can swim forever. And then you can grow and develop. You don't really want free stuff. You want opportunities. And you can tell young people or whoever, you can say, our forefathers, they fought for opportunities. They didn't fight for you to give them a handout. And you are selling yourself short by limiting yourself to what the government want to give you. And historically, the government has never given you the best they can give you. I'm telling you, you can't go to one government facility and do anything normal. You're waiting in line all day. They wait 2 or 3 weeks to get back to you. I mean, even the post office, you got all kind of stuff. Anything run by the government is subpar.
Yeah.
You talk about private entities, it's premium. It's premium stuff. And so I would encourage all these young people to say, what do you really want in life? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want this? Do you want that? That's going outside of communism and free stuff, and that's going into capitalism, and you working as hard as you want to get where you're at. And I'll just say this, we can see it in drug dealing, and drug dealing is an illegal form of capitalism, but you hustle hard, you balling, you know what I'm saying? And you don't work, you don't eat. And so in actuality, some of these people that people look up to in these Black communities are actually capitalists. They're actually entrepreneurs, and they actually are good at business. You know what I'm saying? They're just doing it illegally. So, I would just encourage people that love all that free stuff to say, there's more out here for you. There's a bigger picture. They can give you free stuff all they want, but I want to give you an opportunity to be free. I don't want to just give you free stuff. I want you to be free as an individual, to not only get free phones, but then you can own your own phone company. Which one would you rather have? What you want? You want to have free groceries or own your own grocery company, own grocery store? Do you want a free phone or own your own phone company? You can just, I hit them with those things. You got to do it in love, man. And you got to go with the individual people. Now, sometimes you can blast people and call them out. There's a time and a place for that. But when you get a chance to speak at events and stuff that I've spoken at, that's when you can become intimate and you can talk to these people face to face and tell them about the Democratic Party and say, since they've been in charge of our lives, since they've been running these Black communities, we've seen Black, I won't say unemployment because unemployment is down, but Black, I forget the stat, poverty. Poverty. So we've seen Black poverty increase substantially. We've seen the degradation of the family decrease substantially. Mm-hmm. We've seen Black people, if they want to use Black people being killed by police, we keep seeing this over and over and over. And all of this is being run by Democratic leadership. So what are they actually doing for you? Is this methodology what's best for Black people? And I would argue that it's not. Black people were doing very, very well under Republican leadership. They were doing very, very well when they were Republicans. Black people were doing very, very well outside of government control. Forget party line. Let's talk about government control. Black Wall Street, the government shut them down pretty much. They were doing better outside of government control. Inherently, people aren't racist, to be honest. So segregation was enforced by government laws. And a lot of these were Democratic states who imposed these things upon the people. So I would tell people, do you want to be free from government? These are all concepts that we need to express to people and let them know. Because if you ever sit a black person or minority down, and this is the honest God truth, if you ever sit a minority down one-on-one, don't talk about politics, ask them what their values are. Have them do a survey. All of them are conservative. Religion is, leftists are not, they hate Christians. The leftists, the Democratic Party hate religion. They hate God. You know, they hate everything God is for, to be quite honest.
Yep.
Conservatives are the ones who want to hold up for religious freedom. They're the ones who, you know, care about abortions and same-sex marriage and all that stuff. They want to preserve the religious freedoms of Christians. Liberals do not. So that's another way you can do it. I think that was pretty much the gist of what I had to say about that question.
All right, man, and that's basically all the questions. Oh, actually, I have one question. What does the flag mean to you, man?
Man, the flag, like I said a little earlier in the show, for everybody who may not have saw that, but may have seen that, but the flag means everything to me, man. The fact that I can do a live stream with you, the fact that I can live where I live, I have the freedom to build such a successful lifestyle that I now live. I'm getting ready to sell my house, and I'm going to make several $1,000s off of that house. You know what I'm saying? Well over $20,000 on the house. So the fact that I can do things like that, the fact that I can be free to date and to do whatever I want to do, and you know, the fact that I'm free and then I don't have to join the military, the fact that I don't have to join a police department if I don't want to, all of those concepts that give me freedom and be able to enjoy life with minimal fallout, this flag is responsible for that. You know, the fact that I'm not a slave, that I'm free, this flag is responsible for that. The fact that I can go out and vote, and that I ain't never in my life experienced anything like I can't go to school with white people. Never experienced that in my life. Never experienced racism. This flag is responsible for that. You know, the men and women who died in the Civil War battle. I know it wasn't just about slavery, but men and women who died in that. That's what this is about. The reason why North Korea and none of these other countries gonna come over here and bomb us and take us over is because of this flag, the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this thing flying high. You know, all of that, the flag means to me. And you know, at the end of the day, man, I love all people, man. I love white people as much as I love Hispanic people, Black people, Asian people, Jews. I love all people, man. And the fact that we all can exist in this country and love one another and to grow together and have businesses together and interject ideas and cultural things like, you know, Mexican food. I freaking love Mexican food. You know, I love Italian food. I love pizza. You know, I say pizza. Pizza has been Americanized to a certain degree. That's still Italian. But, you know, I love going places getting jerk chicken. I love Jamaican food. You know, I love sushi. Like, all of the things that I can enjoy in this country. And I know that's food, but food is a huge part of my life. You know what I'm saying? I love food. Although that may sound trivial, but all of those things encompassing and together is responsible because of this flag. So when I see the flag, man, that's all the stuff that I see. And when people disrespect for the flag, I see them disrespecting all the stuff that I just mentioned. So I'll fly this flag to the day I die. And I hope they put a flag over my casket when I die.
Yeah. All right, man. That just about wraps up this episode of the Kasanova podcast, man. Again, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's such an honor to have you on here. Man. Thank you, everyone.
You should get a few of us on here, man. You get us all on here.
I would love to, man. I really have been thinking. I was like, I would like to have like you. I need to reach out to ABL. I don't have a direct contact for him, but I'd like to have you, ABL, Amazing Lucas, Conservative Mexican, like on here and just have like a round table because I think that would be fun.
Yeah, man. If I wasn't in YouTube jail, man, I'll set it up because I know ABL and I follow all those other guys. We could set it up, and I have a huge platform. Like I almost got 90,000 followers, subscribers. So it's like we could definitely get our message out there in a huge way. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, man. Like I said, I'm down, brother. Like just give me a time. If it works with my schedule, I'll come on here and we can all come on here and have a panel and talk about and discuss some of these major issues that I think are not being talked about, and people can hear a plethora of experiences and exposures and people who are conservative now. You know, all of us come from different backgrounds for sure,
Yeah.
and we all have a reasonable conclusion. So I didn't mean to interrupt that, but you should have us all on, man. I'd love to do something like that. Just let me know.
All right, most definitely, man. And thank you, everyone who's been watching, listening. Definitely make sure you go to Brandon's YouTube channel. I have the link to his channel down in the description below. Give him a subscribe. Make sure you ding that notification bell, because YouTube has been playing a lot of games lately where you upload videos and they don't notify your audience. And, you know, that's something they need to work on. But make sure you subscribe to him. Check out his website, motivational speaker Tatum.com, and make sure you follow him on social media platforms. And Brandon, you got anything else you want to leave the people with?
No, I just want to say I appreciate you bringing me on this forum. I think that all the people that are watching you, they are very, they should be very thankful and grateful that they have a brilliant young man like you who are, you know, who's dedicated to bringing the truth, who's dedicated to bringing other people on to expect, you know, to explain the truth. So I just want to thank all y'all for watching this show. I want you to thank all of y'all in advance for watching my YouTube channel. I appreciate y'all. Let's keep fighting the good fight. And man, I'm just thankful for being on here, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And you guys will be able to catch this podcast in audio format on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and Spotify. And very soon we're going to be getting this on Amazon Music as well. So stay tuned for that. You'll be able to catch this tomorrow, or maybe in a couple of hours, because I'm noticing it's been uploading a lot quicker. But definitely. Yeah. And thank you guys for watching. I'll catch y'all in the next one, and see you.
Peace.